I believe the saying at times can be new year, new me. Hear me out.
Okay.
I'm 35 years old.
You're a new man. You're an old man.
I sent Andy Sweeney a text last night. Andy, I don't know if I called you by name, but just
Probably not in the text.
Just to change up the story, let's go there.
Okay.
By the way, shout out to my brother-in-law, sister-in-law. They had a new baby named Owen. Andy was on their short list of names.
Oh,
by the
my
way.
Goodness. Well, congratulations to them. Owen's a great name.
Shout
How
out
about
to
that?
Owen Lubbers. Great-looking lad.
I like it.
Cannot wait to play golf with that human and drink a Busch Light with him, possibly at a college frat one day. Channeling my inner Rick Carlisle. So, new year, new me. I text you. I go, we've ripped the Colts all week. Very understandably. I would argue very deservedly.
Yeah, I can't do another Jonathan Taylor got benched segment.
Let's give a 4-minute all positives on the Colts today at some point.
Okay. So
4
we're going to
minutes.
do it.
4 minutes. Nothing shorter, nothing longer. Mark Dyke didn't start the timer. You can cue us up with any sort of positivity music that might flow in there. I don't know, 8 o'clock hour, Andy Sweeney. 4 minutes positivity on the 2024 Colts.
And then once we hit like 4.00, I would kill it.
You move on.
It's over, and we come back
on.
to Matt Gay having another injury.
Yes. We go to we go right from the 4 minutes to why can't the defensive line stop anybody, and why don't they have a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield? Sounds good to me.
Will DeAndre Swift have 100 or 101 yards on Sunday?
You did send that to me last night. I'm looking at it right now at 9:05 p.m. We were both getting ready to go to bed probably at 9:05. I'm kidding.
The last text I sent, honestly, of the night.
He said, hey, why don't we do like 3-4 minutes and we'll just be positive? And you told Mark this morning. Mark goes, well, I guess I'll think of something. And I go, there's not too many somethings, so we all at 8 o'clock might have the exact same 2 or 3 items. I already got mine. I've been thinking about it. I got mine.
Stretching it to 4 minutes will be like me trying to stretch it to a mile run for me in a workout. Good Thursday morning to you. I'm Kevin Bowen. That is Andy Sweeney. Mark Dyke, as always, on the ones and twos, a backloaded show from a guest standpoint today. I would say what our 9:15 guest did on Monday is what a lot of fans of hopefully our show would want to do. Zak Keefer was in Peyton Manning's house.
I'm so jealous. It's a great story.
He is going to be writing, I would assume, a very long-form feature, as Zach is so incredible at, frankly, on the Manning cast. And again, he was right there with Peyton Manning on Monday. So Zach's going to join us coming up 9 o'clock hour. Certainly Jason Hammer's picks are a Thursday staple. We'll bump that up a little bit earlier. And Waddle and Silve, you hear them up in Chicago. Waddle will join us.
No, Marc Silverman will join us.
Marc Silverman. Jeez,
Come on, Kevin.
Keep on screwing it up.
Kevin.
Silve is going to join us.
You know why Mark booked him? Marc Silverman.
Coming up at 9:40.
Marc Silverman's one of those Marks that uses the C.
Yeah.
Much like Mark Dykton does.
Right.
He's at our weekly meetings.
You guys have Zoom meetings now?
It's
every
me,
Wednesday
Marc
night?
Silverman, Mark Summers. There's a couple others. The Marks with the K, they come, but they don't usually bring snacks. They bring a bad attitude.
Mark Dykton's the treasurer of that group there. So, yes.
Dues.
We will have Silve
Hear ye.
join us coming up here to round things out. Final game for the Fever here of the regular season. They try to be above 500 for the first time since 2015. That's really it in terms of what they're playing for. That'll be tonight, 7 o'clock, Amazon Prime. You know, I was reminded last night, thinking about the viewing experience for tonight. Oh, yeah, Amazon can air 2 things at once. Right? Patriots Jets are on Amazon tonight.
Right.
And so is Fever and...
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, that's how streaming works. They obviously...
Are you asking, can they do split screen?
Well, no. I'm not saying
sorry,
that
that's
necessarily.
what I thought you were asking. Because YouTube TV can.
You're saying you can do multiple devices, basically?
Well,
on one account?
It's just like... And I don't know, maybe it's a stupid comment, but it's like, obviously ESPN can only air, or ABC can only air one thing at a time. Amazon, we are already in a world where, like, oh, yeah, they might have 3 different sporting events on at a time. Whatever. Peacock's going to have
Peacock does, yeah.
a Big Ten game and, an IndyCar race or something like that there. So, yeah, 7 o'clock tonight, Fever Mystics, and then whatever, 8:15, 8:20, whatever it is, Patriots and Jets.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be fun when we have Marc Silverman on in the 9 o'clock hour. I am so interested in how the Bears have, and Mark, you're living this much more than us, how the Bears can have what I think is a really good roster and a promising quarterback, and they don't have an offensive line.
Yeah.
And they don't have any offensive line. So I can't wait to talk about that. Obviously, the Thursday night game is whatever tonight. And then, for me, I know we're going to do our Positive Colts segment coming up at 8 o'clock. But, I do think it is interesting if this team is going to break through, and they have to break through. I mean, I know even yesterday, Shane Steichen's meeting with you guys in the media, and he's like, we just happened to lose 2 games at the beginning of the season. You could lose 2 straight in week 8, week 8 and week 9. We decided to lose ours at the beginning of the season. I mean, the matter of fact is, and the reality is, that they have put themselves severely behind the 8 ball. And I mean, I think it's been the last 30 some odd years, teams that go 0-3, there's been one of them that's end up making the postseason, man. So, I mean, the urgency is there. I thought Zaire Franklin, which we'll hear from him coming up at about 7:35. I think he has taken the defensive issues personally, which I like, which, by the way, he should, and all of the talking and all that stuff is good and great and grand, but they got to go out there and they got to do it on Sunday. But, this team is going to get back at it. They have to create havoc. They got to get turnovers. And Anthony Richardson, I'm interested, with a week now to think about these losses, what Green Bay did to him. He's learned so much, you would imagine and hope, over the first couple weeks, KB. I'm interested. I am interested if we are going to do the same song and dance, and that is, we look at the Bears, we look at the porous offensive line, the crappy offense, they can't run the ball, Caleb Williams has taken so many hits, and we're going to say, well, that should feed into the strength of the Colts, and that's getting after the quarterback. So today and tomorrow, we'll have to figure things out, but it's a big one on Sunday, and I know Bears fans are going to be there, but it's a big one on Sunday.
Last year when Shane Steichen faced some adversity, they lost 3 straight there to go to 3-5. The ultimate slump buster of ultimate slump busters. The Panthers and the Patriots. That's what showed up on the schedule.
God bless
when
them.
you needed it
God
the most.
Bless them.
Did Bryce Young and Mac Jones deliver or what? And you found a way to get back on track before the bye week. Caleb Williams and Justin Fields have not been very good this year, but I don't think the Bears and the Steelers are the Panthers and the Patriots of last year.
No, sir.
So,
sir.
That's certainly a difference of the, hey, you could have a 2-game losing streak in week 8 and week 9, to go back to Shane Steichen's point yesterday. And, obviously the DeForest Buckner injury is, foreign ground for this team. The question is, okay, do you have to commit more resources to stopping the run? Does that expose your secondary, et cetera, et cetera? I will say just a couple things. Positivity-wise, the return of Josh Downs. He strikes me as a human that is very optimistic about him playing on Sunday. The Colts have struggled to find methodical scoring drives. If you look at it 2 games into the season, I would argue they've yet to have a normal scoring drive. And I know there's a lot of gray area in defining normal scoring drive, but let's just call it like 8 plays, 60 yards, and a score.
Yeah.
Just like
a normal traditional scoring drive.
2, 3 first downs.
Right, you run the ball a little bit,
sure.
you throw the ball a little bit.
A 21-yard gain,
sure.
An 8-yard gain, a 3rd and 4 you convert. It's just like a normal looking, oh, wow. We didn't have the guy in orange gloves on the field for a TV timeout in the last, 6 minutes. They've got to have that. Downs strikes me as a player that helps you be more steadier, I should say, methodical, however you want to define it. What does he look like in his debut here in 2024? Because, again, I think he is such a key component to what you want to do. And I'd argue he's probably the one that Anthony Richardson's thrown the ball to most in his 2 seasons here in the NFL, considering they are the same draft class. So good news on that front. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about a Matt Gay injury that is different. I'll share a little just kind of what I observed yesterday that had me thinking, wait a minute, is something happening here? And then lastly, I think it's fair to say, and yes, I'm putting words into Zaire Franklin's mouth, I think he hates Matt Eberflus.
Oh, you think he hates Matt Eberflus? Yeah.
And we'll play some audio that I think can back it up. And yes, unfortunately, this is an audio medium. Granted, we are on YouTube. Thank you to the YouTube stream out there, 107.5 The Fan, on the YouTube app there. Great diehard audience in the YouTube chat on a daily basis. The body reactions probably told you a little bit more. A big old smile on the face of Zaire Franklin when saying he has no thoughts on Matt Eberflus.
Which means he only has thoughts on Matt Eberflus.
And certainly that sparked quite the response on Twitter yesterday.
I'm sure.
And yes, is Zaire Franklin mad about a position group that was a strength under Matt Eberflus, certainly, but at the end of the day, all that matters is this. Zaire Franklin's mad. So how does that look on Sunday?
Is that a good thing?
He
should be mad.
He's pissed.
He should be pissed off.
We will find out how that looks on Sunday. So, yes, we'll hit on that here upcoming.
Yeah, he should be upset. He shouldn't be happy about what's gone on. Two things quickly in this opening segment that I also wanted to get to. Are you sad yesterday? Your Cincinnati Reds officially eliminated for postseason play?
It was the greatest birthday gift I could have gotten.
Was that the best birthday gift, Mark, on his birthday?
Yeah. You don't have to stress anymore. You don't have to worry
you don't
about
have to worry about the pennant race.
No, there's like the
over.
weird day game schedules on Thursday. How do you fit that into the workload? You don't have to worry about that stuff.
Sure,
so
those playoff games can be tricky, right?
Now, I would say this. I feel like, Mark, your Cubs have got to be nearing this as well, right?
They're nearing the end. They've lost like 2 out of 3 to the Oakland A's of all teams. But I've been telling you since June they weren't a playoff team. They're a fake playoff. So both of our teams are about to end their season.
I did see the Brewers put out. This is the only baseball.
They had a little party action last night.
The Brewers put out. Here's your NL Central winning manager. Whoever the hell the Brewers manager is.
Pat Murphy.
Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Now. Don't be hating on him.
By the way,
Joel Erickson's driving off the road at this hour that you just said that.
You think Joel Erickson's listening right now? You don't think he's corralling kids at
7:12
in the morning?
I think one of them plays hockey. Isn't like hockey ice time either like 5 a.m. or like 10 p.m.?
It's a great point. Hockey guys are stinky. I've known some hockey guys. They're stinky guys.
Wasn't that the Irsay story? He was so fed up with his grandson's hockey times, he just built a rink on his property.
Oh, you can do that when you have the money.
Do we call that a
Jim
power
Irsay.
move?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say he's probably had
Can we
a
get
couple
some
power
video
moves in his day.
We get some video of Irsay driving the Zamboni.
Oh, I'd love that. The other thing, we'd be silly not to mention, and I guess it's really cool, KB, that you and I got it up close around the NBA All-Star break back in the middle of winter, and that is Adrian Wojnarowski.
Our guy
calling it quits. I mean, really, months after signing a 5-year, $35 million deal to stay at ESPN. The final Woj bomb yesterday as he's walking away, which has to be it has to be a terrible job. In fact, it is a terrible job, but it pays a bleep ton of money. But he walks away, so it's a good day for Shams. He walks away, and I don't know what to do with myself. I got to be honest. Have you turned off your Woj notifications
yet?
I know.
I thought about that.
What are we going to do in the NBA summer? Who is going to replace him?
Can
anybody replace Wojnarowski?
This is like Kobayashi backing away and Chestnut now having zero rival. That's exactly what it is for Shams now moving forward.
Was it Chestnut was eating veggie burgers or veggie hot dogs at some point? And for people that don't know, Adrian Wojnarowski, the Woj bombs, one of the obviously the preeminent reporter there at ESPN for the NBA for decades, the preeminent NBA reporter at different places, Yahoo, etc. He called it quits. He's going to become the general manager for St. Bonaventure men's basketball.
So when we were at the Vogue for that event, again, this was a podcast with Woj, Tyrese Halliburton, Grant Hill, Team USA director was there as well. We did a brief little MC right at the start, and we got there, an hour early. And at that point, it's just, kind of some ESPN people in the building, some Vogue people in the building, and really it was just kind of you, me, and Woj, I think at that point. Certainly Halliburton and Grant Hill weren't there yet. And two things I was struck by with Woj. First off, I watched a Woj bomb in the making.
Yeah, who was it? It was a Denver Nuggets player, was it?
For some reason, Danilo Gallinari's popping in my head.
He went back to Milwaukee, right?
Is that what it was?
He played. Didn't he play against the
Pacers?
Pacers?
Get in against the Pacers.
He played against the Pacers in the postseason.
So I watched a Woj bomb in the flesh. It's like
cool.
watching Emeril Lagasse cook something up. It was just...
watching a lion attack a gazelle.
It was incredible to see it come to fruition right there and, asking for the Wi-Fi. It was just beautiful to watch. And then the second thing was, that man wanted to talk about St. Bonaventure basketball more than I want to talk about Notre Dame basketball.
Yeah, God bless him.
He is obsessed with his alma mater.
Yes, he is.
And this does not surprise me at all that he wants to do this. We are seeing this. LaVall Jordan is in a GM role for Chris Holtmann, ironically enough, at DePaul right now. This is what we're seeing with a lot of college basketball teams. They're hiring a sort of GM type of role where you're monitoring the portal, you're doing some NIL stuff, you're heavy in the recruiting ranks, different titles associated with it.
You're monitoring who's going to be in the portal as well.
So, this is what Woj wants to do. And the other thing I was struck by too, and I think this was I don't know if it was before that Vogue event or not. Remember when he came on with us on that Tuesday or Wednesday morning, minutes after he had broken the Warriors' interest in LeBron at the trade deadline. I mean, that was a huge, I think it's a big story. When you got to the end of the year, that ended up being like a top 5 NBA story, or Woj bomb, I should say, for the season. And yet he still had time to come on our little show. I mean, he easily could have been like, hey, guys, got to go do Get Up.
Right.
Or,
got to be on First Take in 25 minutes. Yeah, in
whatever.
30 minutes.
But he comes on the show, and, if I remember the interview correctly, he was, really genuine for 10 minutes and had, a fun chat with us and certainly, treated us like we were some, big-time audience and, got, a little deeper into the Warriors LeBron story there. I've never heard, unlike some other big news breakers at ESPN, never heard a negative story about Woj. Chatted with Mike Wells, who was at the Vogue that night we were there. He had brought some students from IU up there for that. Woj came over, spoke with them for 10 to 15 minutes afterwards.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, seems like a great, great dude. So good for Woj.
Yeah, Aaron Rosenberg is Woj's replacement in ESPN, they announced. Aaron Rosenberg.
Okay, so we're going to have to learn Aaron Rosenberg because I don't know him.
Yeah, I don't know. He said, after years of excellence by Adrian Wojnarowski, officially retired, I am Aaron Rosenberg, and I'm honored to take over his role, continuing the high standard set by delivering the latest and most accurate NBA news to fans worldwide. Excited for the new chapter. So Rose bombs is what we'll have to be looking for.
You know what they say, KB. Mark, you know what they say. You never want to be the guy that what? That
replaces the guy.
That follows the guy.
You want to be the guy that follows the guy.
I felt like that with Jake Query for many months, KB.
No,
you never want to be the guy who's following the guy. This Aaron Rosenberg guy, good luck.
Gosh, by the way, I feel
good luck.
I saw Jake in a dream last night.
Is that because you saw him yesterday out at the Horizon League stuff?
And then I came back here to record a podcast, so I saw him twice yesterday.
Oh, boy.
You saw him in a dream?
I thought, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I just saw him when I was leaving. Or
I don't know what's more disturbing. You're dreaming about Jake or Andy calling Jake the man?
Nah, I think it's a form. Well, Lord knows he's not awake this early in the morning.
I mean, yesterday he was up far too early to interview Greg Campy, who, by the way, if you missed our conversation with Greg Campy, the Oakland head coach, Doug Gottlieb, all that from yesterday's up on the podcast center.
Legend.
1075thefan.com.
We are on Matt Gay quad watch, I guess, as we get ready for the Colts' second practice of the week. I will share this. Yesterday, I'm in the locker room, and all of a sudden I look over, and Spencer Schrader, the undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame, who we saw kick week 1, that man is working out like... Boy, Michael Phelps getting ready for a night in the pool. I mean, I'm like, damn.
Good for him.
That dude is getting after it over there. I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's a lot for a backup kicker. Well, lo and behold, we get out to practice. I'm like, wait, is that Spencer Schrader kicking over there? But it looked like Matt Gay was still dressed for practice. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're giving Matt Gay a rest day. But sure enough, it was a did not practice for Matt Gay with a new injury item to note. That is a quadricep injury. I asked Shane Steichen yesterday before all of this, Matt Gay's missed all these kicks to the left. Is there something fundamentally wrong? And the answer there had a little bit of we're working through those things. And that was, for Shane Steichen, that's a little bit more than most. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, what does that mean?
He gave you the I'm not a kicking coach, too.
Right, he did preface by that.
Yeah,
but then he tacked on a little bit there at the end. So as we sit here on this Thursday morning, we could be looking at a Spencer Schrader elevation for the second time in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because I'm not as worried maybe as Matt Gay missing, and I could be wrong as
we did not
other
see
positions.
Schrader attempt a field goal in that first game. Remember, it was all extra points.
It would have been nice to see him kick at least a 41-yarder, so I know he can do it in the NFL. Reminder, backloaded like KB said, Jason Hammer going to join us. He'll give us his picks for the weekend and tonight for Thursday Night Football. He'll join us at 8:45. Coming up at 9:15, Zak Keefer from The Athletic will join us. Cannot wait for him to write this story on Sin with Peyton Manning during the Manning cast. And we'll talk some Bears. Silve going to join us. Marc Silve coming up at 9:45. On the other end, what did Josh Downs say about his availability this week? Shane Steichen on DeForest Buckner, plus your news and scores from overnight. Appreciate you hanging out with us, waking up with us. Wake up call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
All right, before we get started, can we take a 30 here? We take a TO.
Mark had to be quick to beat KB to the microphone on that one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got duped. I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. Aaron Rosenberg is not a real person. It's one of those fake I got fake Schefter, basically.
That's a tough start to the Thursday.
It's not a great start. I woke up with a headache. I got fake Scheftered. It's not a good start to the day. We're 27 minutes into the show.
So 2 things we've learned here in the last couple months. Simone Biles is not pregnant. There's one. Okay, so for anyone out there that maybe pondered, she did triple-double corkscrew flips. She didn't have a baby in her tummy during that time. And Adrian Wojnarowski will not be being replaced by who? What was his name?
Rosenberg.
Aaron Rosenberg.
It's such a great
I grew up
great
with
name.
Zach Rosenberg, great human.
Well, that's the thing.
Frogan Rosenberg,
Aaron
great human.
Rosenberg sounds like a guy that would be on Twitter that would report on the NBA, but we all should have known. We're all in sports and sports media in some sort of way that not any of us knew an Aaron Rosenberg. When Mark mentioned that, I go, man, I have no idea who that is, and I follow thousands of people on Twitter.
Well, and I was like, yesterday was my
They made
birthday.
so
I
many
guess
cuts at
I wasn't
ESPN,
trying to be glued to my phone late last night, but I never saw that. I was like, why am I not following this person?
Yeah.
I was like, well, they made so many cuts at ESPN. I don't even really know who works there anymore. So maybe he's a new hire.
It is a fair point.
It's like, well, he got the bump of a lifetime.
And again, for KB mentioning, I was duped over a weekend in the Olympics by the story that was out there. Is Simone Biles, or that Simone Biles was actually pregnant, and she was doing all of these amazing things over in Paris while with child. And right now, I swear, if I was not with you guys, if I was not on like the radio or tuned in with all this stuff, I today would probably still think Simone Biles was pregnant while she won gold medals and silver medals in Paris. That's fantastic.
You send me an email right now of a Nigerian prince that has money in a bank account for me, I'm probably signing up.
Well, and I guess we should be honest about one thing, right? We could get Simone Biles in the building on Sunday. Isn't her significant
You probably
other?
will get her in
Jonathan
in the
Owens?
building.
Oh, how about that?
Fair safety. He had a
How
big
about that?
block punt, right, Mark, in week 1? So that is true. Simone Biles is not pregnant is also true, and Aaron Rosenberg is not real is also true. That's where we're at here. No more duping. Andy Sweeney, only facts.
Oh, goodness.
On this
only
morning
facts.
checkdown.
From that, let's go to high ankle sprains. Yesterday, the unfortunate news, I think news it wasn't too surprising. DeForest Buckner with that ankle injury going on IR, so he'll miss at least the next 4 games. Shane Steichen, of course, asked about it yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
Obviously, a huge blow. Phenomenal teammate, phenomenal player for our football team, phenomenal player for the NFL. But I know he'll attack his rehab and won't put a timetable on his return, but hopefully get him back sooner than later.
Yeah, I found 2 interesting things. I love how Steichen said, great player for the NFL. I found that to be interesting. And, no timetable, so it sounds like it may be 4 weeks. It may be a little bit longer than 4 weeks. Speaking of high ankle sprains, Mark, let's go to Josh Downs. So Josh Downs, will he play this week? Won't he play this week? Downs sure sounds like he's going to play this week.
Get a full week of practicing and hopefully play this weekend.
Is that the plan to play this weekend?
Yeah, in my opinion, that is the plan, God willing. Get through the week healthy and then get my first game this weekend.
All right, so that's a big deal. Let me give you this one real quick. I want your reaction to this, KB. I know you were there. He was then followed up with, could you have played last week in Green Bay? Remember, he put himself at maybe as much as 90% in week 2. Here's how he answered that question.
It was more so just up in the air. I mean, just going throughout the week, but Shane and Ballard just felt it was best that I didn't, so I got to thank them for taking care of me, and we'll just go with this week.
Yeah, I always felt like with this injury, Ballard is it's a long season, it's a long season, it's a long season. I get that it's starting to get late early a bit in Colts world, but I understand that rationale. I'm not, I'm not ripping the Colts for pushing a high ankle sprain. If all of a sudden he aggravates it and you barely have him at any sort of substantial percentage through the rest of the season, you're going to, rip that decision as well. So totally fine with it. Josh Downs, very important for Sunday. And I thought all in all, a decent-looking injury report for a Wednesday. Yeah. Julian Blackmon was back.
I agree.
Obviously, that's important on that end. Matt Gay, Latu, the only 2 that did not practice yesterday. So certainly some names, but all in all, not the worst thing in the world. Still no Keenan Allen for the Bears after he missed last week. All right, tonight, Fever season finale in the nation's capital. They're playing for nothing other than a record that's over 500, which that would be for the first time since 2015. The Mystics are playing for a spot in the playoffs. So the Fever are actually a 2-point underdog in this one. Now, Lynn Dunn said to us yesterday, we're going to play our team. I mean, they aren't going to be holding back. So,
Do we believe her?
I don't know. I guess we'll watch it unfold. I did find it interesting. Lynn Dunn's answer and Tony East, who does a great job covering the Fever, their answers are different on who they would want to see the Fever play in round one.
Okay.
Again, the Connecticut Sun, they're in control of the 3 seed. If they win tonight, they're the 3 seed. That's who the Fever play.
And they play Chicago tonight. Vegas plays Dallas. Again,
Vegas plays
two of the worst
late.
teams. Right.
So Vegas has got to win and have the Sun lose. So in all likelihood, it's probably going to be Connecticut as the opponent. Weirdly, I think I side with Tony.
Okay.
And again, Lynn Dunn brought up the, hey, we haven't beat Vegas yet this season, et cetera, et cetera. When I've watched this team play Connecticut, though, Dejanay Carrington, remember opening night? I mean, she kind of ate Caitlin Clark's lunch, and at different times, I think through the season, it's been a really difficult matchup for her. I know that the Fever haven't played the Sun a whole lot lately, but that does worry me a little bit of, they have some defenders. Tash Harris went to Heritage Christian also is that. So we'll see how it plays out here coming up tonight. We'll get the official word on not only the opponent, but the Fever playoff schedule. Some sort of Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday cadence starting here in, a few days. So that'll be something to keep an eye on tonight.
Well, I guess I'll roll with Lynn Dunn and say I'll poo-poo you and Tony East. You can have Vegas, and me and the general manager of the Fever will take the Connecticut Sun. How about that?
And obviously Vegas is the best player in the game.
Well, sure.
And Asia Wilson.
They have a couple really good ones. Yeah, I know.
It's not like,
damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of.
You're not playing whoever Purdue played in that play-in game. Was it Grambling? Didn't we have the Grambling coach on?
Yeah, we had the Grambling coach on, yeah.
Yeah.
Who did he know? Remember, the Grambling coach knew somebody, and that carried the conversation. God, I bless.
Well,
I
he
can't
interviewed
remember
for
that.
the IUPUI opening. Did we
Maybe
ask him about
was
that?
it. I really don't know. So Fever back in action tonight. Major League Baseball, we say goodbye to another season of Cincinnati Reds baseball, officially eliminated from the playoffs. And
Don't
they
look
lost
now, but here come the Red
and they
Wings.
Right
lost
into the
last
offseason.
night to the Braves.
Don't look now, but here come the Red
This
Wings.
is the
Just
offseason.
get some rest for next year.
They're going to go out and they're going to spend. They're going to
Oh, yeah.
develop
Is
prospects.
there a World
They're gonna
Baseball
spend.
Classic? Maybe our guys can rest for that.
Well, my favorite relating to the White Sox is that they're going to cut payroll next year because of they've had such
God.
poor attendance.
What else is there?
By
a
the
cut?
way, the White Sox social team's great.
Yeah.
Their ability to tweet after these losses. I think last night the line is just the other team scored more runs than us.
You just retweet that all season long.
Jeff Passan, I think, had a story on how they're trying to, not be miserable by losing all those games. Of course, some fans are like, no, you guys need to be miserable. So that's the Reds. Cubs fall to the A's. Cardinals over the Pirates. Brewers did clinch the Central. Yankees clinch a playoff spot and a couple wild card spots. So for grabs, Indianapolis Indians winners yesterday in St. Paul 10-2.
Yeah, Patriots Jets tonight, Thursday night football, college football for this weekend. From a local standpoint, Notre Dame and IU both heavy favorites. Granted, Notre Dame certainly can't be overlooking too much. Miami of Ohio there in that one. Indiana's got Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't appear to be very good at football at all. That'll be a noon kick down in Bloomington. Purdue out in Corvallis. Oregon State for that one there, their final non-conference game before they get in the Big Ten schedule. And as we mentioned yesterday, Oklahoma, Tennessee. That's where College Game
It's
Day
a big one.
is heading. So that's a pretty good one there. And now we got to get used to this being a conference matchup, as weird as that sounds this year.
Before we take a break, I figured I'd bring it up here. Did you have a thought? Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan.
Let's see this.
IndyCar team being investigated by the FBI. They showed up in Zionsville yesterday. I have recurring dreams where my home, or I guess where I'm at, is raided by the FBI. You ever think of that?
I can't
Your
imagine there's-
Instagram algorithm's out of control, sir.
Yeah, I don't know how many FBI raids we get in Zionsville these days.
Probably
but
not many.
Did I see it was like a former Andretti employee is now there, and everyone was
boy.
told to leave your computers and
boy.
exit the premises. We're a little vague on details, but boy, great for IndyCar. That'll carry the off season for the next few months.
Take that F1.
Right?
That's how we're gonna do it.
Can we get that on
FBI.
the 100 Days to Indy documentary that they do?
Kevin's dreaming of Jake and Andy's dreaming of FBI raids.
Oh yeah.
You guys
somebody-
need some
Somebody say it was a
melatonin
nightmare
or something.
last night.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So, all right, good stuff. Coming up on the other end, we'll give you the latest on Matt Gay. KB, I know you got a thought on him and his injury. Plus, what did Zaire Franklin say about Matt Eberflus? We'll let you hear that sound next as well. Appreciate you hanging out with us. It's a Thursday right here on The Fan.
In 20 minutes, we're going all positive on the Colts for 4 minutes. 8 o'clock hour, all positive, 4-minute Colts segment.
We can do it.
So
you can do it.
So far, I think we're like 540 minutes into our show this week. Don't think there's been a whole lot of positivity regarding the Colts.
Well, I was going to yell. You used the positivity on Josh Downs earlier, and I'm like, hey, we got to use 4 minutes here. What
You're
are you
right.
doing?
You're right. Yep, that was 47 seconds I just potentially wasted there. But we can always double back. Different listening audience, Mark.
That's true.
At that hour. So, yes, we will go all positive on the Colts for a few minutes upcoming. Andy Sweeney, I think it's fair to say there won't be a lot of positivity exchanged from Zaire Franklin towards Matt Eberflus on Sunday.
And so yesterday, Grover Stewart did not have mean things to say about Matt Eberflus, but you were there and you caught this, and this is good that you caught this because I had not heard this. This is Zaire Franklin yesterday talking about, obviously talking about playing Chicago, and this is Lara Overton, I believe, is the follow-up.
Lara threw the alley-oop up, and Zaire
did.
said Dikembe Mutombo is at the rim.
Remember the picture with Dwayne Wade with his arms out after he threw the alley-oop to LeBron James in Miami? There's a little bit there's shades of that going on. Lara Overton throwing the ball up for the dunk from Zaire Franklin. So take a listen. We'll react.
Yeah, so obviously, number 1 overall pick. He's a great player. Watched him a lot in college. And familiar faces on the sideline as well. So looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah. What feelings about Flus coming back?
I have no feelings about him, but I'm looking forward to playing Chicago Bears.
Like, she gave the nickname Flus, the nickname and everything.
Gosh.
She was expecting him to say something politically correct there about Matt Eberflus,
Sure.
I assume.
Yeah, sure.
So give the listening audience the background why Zaire Franklin hates Matt Eberflus.
And again, it's an audio medium, but the Zaire Franklin smile in answering both of those questions, because he kind of hints at it at the first answer. I'm looking forward to some people on their sideline, or I'm paraphrasing exactly what he said there. And as soon as he said that, I was reminded, I'm like, oh, yeah, he hates Eberflus. I kind of forgotten that, which is probably poor on me. But Zaire Franklin was drafted in 2018. I think he would be one that felt like he deserved more of a chance for linebacker playing time in his early years. He really didn't get that until Eberflus's final year here. I'm trying to think who got hurt. I guess it probably would have been Leonard. Leonard got hurt in that 2021 season, and that's really where Zaire became a starter, and then obviously has turned it into, being a really nice player. And I get it. 2 weeks into the season, Zaire Franklin certainly is not in a lot of favor of Colts fans right now. But yes, he was not happy with Matt Eberflus's lack, I think, of giving him an opportunity to play. Now, it's hard to disagree with Eberflus. I mean, look at what Leonard was. Look at what Bobby Okereke was. Anthony Walker is a name that, he was a core linebacker early on in those Zaire years as well.
Okereke's been great, dude.
So it's like
on a terrible team too.
I go back and look at the linebackers from 2018 and 19 and 20, and it's like, well, I don't really know where he should have played. Again, he's frustrated by the opportunity. For what it's worth, the linebackers coach here in Indy, Dave Borgonzi, is also the linebackers coach in Chicago. Again, his linebackers coach, Zaire's that would be. So yeah, I might disagree with Zaire a bit on that, but the point is pretty clear. He's pissed. He doesn't like Matt Eberflus,
which I get.
And now
I get it.
How does he play on Sunday?
Well, good. Take it out on the Bears. Take it out on Caleb Williams. Let's go.
And again, Twitter was a storm yesterday.
It was.
When I tweeted out that quote, and then I think James Boyd followed up a little bit later in the night with the actual video of it. And again, you can see that smile. And, boy, as soon as he said, I have no feelings on Eberflus, that's probably everything you needed.
I have no feelings about him.
Let me ask you this. This is something you would know being so close to it when Eberflus was here. Who are the players left that would like Eberflus, and who are the ones that would not like Eberflus?
Well, I would say most
besides
of them,
those guys.
They were a fairly solid defensive unit. You brought up Grover Stewart. I'm trying to think when Grover kind of became the main guy. I want to say it was like 2019 maybe. So, again, as a 4th-round pick, it took Grover out of Albany State. It took Grover a couple of years. But, there are a lot of Colts defenders that will be on the field Sunday that were with Eberflus. When you think about it, Kwity Paye, Dio Odengbo were part of that draft class. Julian Blackmon, Kenny Moore were certainly Eberflus guys. EJ Speed. I don't know, maybe Speed feels the same way. But, linebacker, the Colts have been great under Chris Ballard. So it's hard for me to, disagree with really the type of playing time that they had
now,
there.
The guys that you mentioned are really good players, are really solid players still. Some of them still solid players in the league.
I'm trying to think of another team's NFL analogy where the coordinator has struggled for whatever reason, that coordinator has moved on and then found success, and maybe you would have Venom because for whatever reason they didn't have success in that previous stop. That would be, I think, a little bit more apples to apples. So, I think Eberflus will be well received by many Colts. I don't think there's a need for any sort of tribute video or forum coming up on Sunday.
They're putting together a 90-second tribute video.
Maybe videos of him challenging those plays from Sunday Night Football because that was such awful decision-making.
Where Bears fans with him? Because I've been doing some Bears stuff the last couple days, and it still seems like the majority of Bears fans think they should have made a change this offseason and got somebody else, anybody else, Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, hell, anybody.
Yeah, it seems like, the beard, obviously. People are like, oh, the beard, he's changed his ways.
That is a new look.
Yeah, but I think people were hoping for Harbaugh or something like that. That was the talk of the offseason. But Ryan Poles loves him. He thinks he's great for the locker room. The locker room does seem to like him a lot.
Right.
So while fans may not be fans of him, inside the locker room and inside the front office, they are big fans of Matt Eberflus.
We'll ask Marc Silverman coming up at 9:45. Waddle and Silvey there on ESPN Chicago. I see a lot of Bears discussion. Is DJ Moore looking frustrated on the sideline?
Well,
I'm like, none of their offensive players have any stats through 2 games. Of course they're upset.
I cannot stress this enough, and I'll certainly do it tomorrow as we dive really deep into the exact kind of Bears preview. The ability to rattle Chicago early, I think, is of utmost importance coming up on Sunday, because if you watch Sunday unfold, and understandably, DJ Moore looks pissed, and Caleb Williams certainly looked pissed, and he got hit literally seemingly on every drop back. So if you
I think it was 36 of 48 dropbacks he got hit.
An insane amount, and under pressure all day long. If you're able to do that early, then what happens? I think you create chatter on the sideline. I think you create DJ Moore ripping off his helmet like he did there late in the game on that sideline throw and clearly frustrated. I think it's important to try and send that message early. Far too often, and Malik Willis was this on Sunday, far too often the Colts have played inexperienced quarterbacks and they've let them settle into the game early. And when you do that, you give them confidence and the rest is history. If you can rattle them early, I just think it's a fragile group offensively for Chicago right now. And so that, to me, is paramount for the Colts on Sunday.
Do you think that Gus Bradley's defense can get aggressive enough to cause that pressure?
I was going to say, guys,
but, Houston just threw out the blueprint. Houston just said, we're going to blitz all night long. So you just got the exact blueprint on Sunday. Time for you to be the copycat league that this league is and utilize that on Sunday.
Yeah, they got 0 sacks out of Malik Willis, though.
Caleb Williams, had to throw the ball 37 times. And I would imagine for the Bears to have success, this is not even, just on Sunday, and it may be slanted on Sunday against the Colts because the Colts' run defense has just been so bad. But I got to think that number needs to be more like 22-27 for Caleb Williams, and there needs to be more running the football. KB, I could make the argument, and I will make the argument. I know Jacksonville right now is a complete mess offensively. So I'm saying that knowing that Jacksonville is a mess. I'm saying that knowing in December 1st, you're going to be on the road if you're the Colts at New England. Okay, now New England can run the football. Who will be the quarterback? Will it be May at that point? Will it still be Jacoby Brissett or somebody else? But this is probably the worst offense you're going to get all season. Am I wrong saying that? And now, listen, the Bears may get better. I expect them to get better. We'll see what happens.
I really like the
with
Bears'
Keenan Allen.
skill talent, though.
Listen, I'm saying that DeAndre Swift is averaging 2 yards a carry. He is a good player. They went out and they signed him to a 3-year contract deal. Remember, that was like the first hours of free agency.
I think it was the very first free agency announcement.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I mean, DeAndre Swift was off the board, and it's good value. It's 3 years, $24 million, 15 guaranteed. I know that's the thing that's scaring me here is I like DJ Moore, and I think I'm going to like Caleb Williams, and I like
biased,
DeAndre
but
Swift.
I like Cole Kmet.
Yeah, Cole Kmet, I know. He's fine. He's a good player. It's just, I don't know what to do, but I'm looking down the list. I mean, there is a chance.
I still think Denver.
This is the worst offense you're looking at.
I still think when you get to Denver or New England, some of those teams late in the. Your Giants. Some of those teams I think will be worse because I think that's probably what's frustrating to Mark and Bears fans right now. Chicago, again, has the skill talent.
They spent money, a lot of money.
And I get that Keenan Allen has missed a game and, could miss this one, and Rome Odunze was a little banged up, et cetera, et cetera. But, I think that is the thing of, you feel like you have supported your young quarterback at the skill spots. At times last year, I looked at Carolina's group and I thought, Bryce Young had better skill talent at Alabama.
1,000%.
Than he's had
1,000%
with the Panthers. So, that's where I struggle a bit with it. But, boy, it just seems like Chicago's offensive line is the biggest issue right now.
And it is weird because it's mostly the same group that they brought from last year back, and that group led the league in rushing last year. It's what happened? You guys now can't run all of a sudden? It's very weird.
And they did it with, I say a lesser player. Deontay Foreman had a couple weeks last year. If you remember him, might not be a bad waiver wire pickup for somebody, for anybody. So, we'll keep that discussion. Obviously, tomorrow we'll give our picks and keys to the game and everything else.
It's time to be positive.
Yes.
It's time to be positive.
Let's test positive over here.
4-minute positive Colts
Mark,
segment.
set the timer when we come back.
We'll set the timer. 4 minutes of positivity next here. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together. Brighter than a lucky penny when you're near. The rain goes, disappears, dear, and I feel so fine just to know that you are mine.
That's a hell of a re-entry here from Mark Dykton. Yeah, we're going positive on the Colts. Here, Mark, how did you find that? Did you search
that's an old. I heard that song back in the day. That's an oldie.
So when I told you this morning, hey, let's go 4 minutes positive on the Colts, that's what popped into your head?
Well, I had that song, and I have one that will play underneath. It's about 4 minutes long, so that'll be our timer. So when that song runs out, boom, we're done. Back to negative land.
Usually Mark has a good, 8 o'clock hour. People are waking up. He's got some heavy metal for the people usually in the 8 o'clock hour, right? Or maybe something popular that's out there
that
in
song's
today's
gotta be 70
music.
years
Sounded
old.
like an I Love Lucy rejoiner right there from Mark Dykton.
Is that I Love Lucy?
That song has got to be 70 years old.
You know, again, the Colts are trying to avoid just their second 0-3 start since 98, I think it is, in the last 25 years. Right now, they are by far the worst rushing defense in the NFL. They just lost to Malik Willis on Sunday. I think very deservedly, we have been critical of the Colts here through the first 3.5 shows of the week. I thought we'd go 4 minutes of positivity. Am I carrying the Colts water?
Listen, I think it's a fun exercise. I think it's fine. I will say.
Are we going to struggle to fill 4 minutes?
I don't think so.
We'll
Come on. We're experienced sports radio gas bags. We're fine with filling the 4 minutes. The only thing I'm worried about is we're doing this still kind of thinking, that they're going to win Sunday against Chicago. If they lose to Chicago on Sunday, they're going to be 0-3, and then we're going to have to continue this segment, which is going to be
4 becomes 3 minutes.
Well, it's going to be much sadder each and every week if we do this. If they were to lose
and
against
then
Chicago,
we're playing death metal every rejoiner.
I will say this: a little straw poll in the media room yesterday. I don't know if it's going to be an overwhelming majority picking the Colts.
That Bears defense is really good.
I have no problem with that. Right now, I'm leaning Chicago. If you made me choose right now, I would pick the Bears in probably a low-scoring, close football game. Right now. I would.
Mark Dykton, start the timer, start the music. Andy Sweeney, lead us off.
All
Positivity for the Colts for 4 minutes.
All right, so do you want me to list just one thing, or do you want me to do, I have a couple?
We can go around the horn, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and start us off with one.
I think the and boy, this is a tough thing to say. Anthony Richardson has started 2 games, and Kevin Bone and Mark Dykton, he has completed 2 football games.
Positivity.
They haven't been the best games, but he's played 2 football games, and that's a good thing.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I like it.
Good.
That's a good start.
I think that's definite.
There's 25 seconds.
Alec Pierce and his ability to catch the football, I would say, has been a definite bright spot for him. Very good down the field. I think some underneath catches as well, which has been a question that you've had. If you look at the wide out position in general, no one's in a contract year. Guys are getting open. I know it hasn't been totally great for everybody in that room, but Alec Pierce, I would say,
been good.
would qualify as a positive.
I would second that with Alec Pierce. I think he's been the bright spot of the offense so far for Anthony Richardson's weapons. I would also say Jonathan Taylor has been very solid so far. I know he didn't get much action in the fourth quarter against the Packers.
Easy now, positive.
I'm just saying.
Watch yourself.
When he played on Sunday, he was very, very good. He should have been a reason they won on Sunday.
Mark, you're towing the line there.
I'm not towing the line. He's very good.
Can I double back off
He's
that?
very good.
The number 1 rushing yard per carry team in the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
So not only just Jonathan Taylor toting the rock, but when Anthony Richardson has run it, he's run it very effectively. I'm not going to go down that slope where Mark wants to go down of buts. I'm going to stop right there.
I'm telling you.
Number 1 yards per carry team in the NFL.
I'm running maybe Anthony Richardson more.
The Indianapolis Colts. Stop that. Just positive.
I know. All right, I'll go next. My positive, we haven't had, and there's other reasons, Malik Willis being one of those, but we haven't really had the secondary game. And on top of it, your leading tackler is Nick Cross. So we talk about Nick Cross not allowing, guys to get by.
Sound tackler.
Relying on the big play there on defense. Well, Nick Cross has said, hey, you're not going to get a 90-yard touchdown. Not today. Not on Nick Cross. He's got 29 tackles in 2 games.
Well, I hope we're close to 4 minutes.
We're 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Jeez.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
I'm out.
We need to really,
Those are my 2.
We need to really lengthen this segment. I do think the offensive line and pass protection's been pretty good. And I would say, I guess the run blocking, if you want to look at it from a yards per carry standpoint, I would say the pass protection has been pretty solid from that offensive line group. I think they've given Anthony Richardson some time to take some shots down the field. They've hit that there. So I would say the offensive line unit, was 2023 the anomaly, was 2022 the anomaly. I would say right now they are back to their normal selves.
I think Rigoberto Sanchez has been very good. Now
I was wondering where we'd go, punter. I knew we'd go punter eventually.
I'm not making fun. He is 6th in the league right now, averaging 52.2 yards per punt. That is very good. You're giving your defense, good field position against your offense, your opponent's offense. He's been very solid so far. I think that's going under the radar.
I remember for decades, Steve Spurrier used to say about Kentucky football, they sure have a hell of a punter. That's what he used to always say.
He's been very solid.
For decades. All right, I got one. Josh Downs being back. Right now.
Now we're really stretching. This must be 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
We're at 3 minutes and 31 seconds. Alec Pierce would have more yards and more touchdowns right now through 2 weeks, even if Josh Downs were in the game. But Josh Downs would lead this team in receptions and targets. He's back for week 3. I expect good things from Josh Downs.
The only thing I got is I feel like we always do a really nice job at Lucas Oil Stadium of holding that a big American flag during the anthem.
Oh, boy, we're reaching. Yeah, we
really do a nice job.
That's 4 minutes
of holding that American flag. 2 home games
corners.
upcoming. Need to make sure we keep a good grip on that. The full field flag. It's pretty unique. I think we did a nice job in the opener.
Good job.
Good job, guys. That was a good 4 minutes. We did really good. Pat ourselves on the back.
I asked this. I don't know where else, if we would have went around the sun one more time, I don't know where I would have went next, to be quite honest.
I had 2 left, if I can give honorable mentions. I thought Luke Rhodes has snapped it well.
Okay.
Save that for next week, sir.
And if you want to go back to the opener, once again, I thought Blue was really good. I thought Blue's football toss was really good.
Okay, so you were out then. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you were totally
boys,
out.
I had Nick Cross jotted down. The Richardson start and finish, I do think was a very good one.
Yeah, it's legit.
I was going to say the roof being open, maybe.
Yeah, we had it.
That'd be nice.
We had a game
Probably
where the roof
too
was
hot
open.
this Sunday, right, Mark?
Oh,
I don't know. It is pretty toasty these days.
No, it's going to be up in the 80s.
Were you surprised? Number 1 yards per carry team in the NFL?
Yes. I have to be. Yes.
6.1 yards per carry. Green Bay is second, no duh. 5.7. So it's quite the gap. Now, I guess we're done with positivity, aren't we?
Yeah, you can go back to normal Colts conversation.
First in yards per carry, 16th in yards per game. So this gets back to the inability to stick with it. And again, I think you go back to week 1. Richardson had several nice runs. Taylor didn't really get going against Houston, but you were starting to go there, and I cut you off because I wanted to keep it to positivity, but I knew we'd have the opportunity to go back to it. Offensively, Shane Steichen is running much more of a preseason offense than I thought he would. Like, he's not running Steph Curry shoots threes. Why would I take that weapon away from him? Anthony Richardson has ran the ball less than I thought he would through 2 weeks, especially in the designed run categories.
Without a doubt. He has 10 carries in 2 weeks. He had 4 last week in Green Bay. Without a doubt. I thought there'd be a game here early. He might have 9 or 10 carries in just one game.
Like, when I've used that phrase, limit, not eliminate, I still have said, I think you have to hover around 6 to 7 design runs a game. Like, to me, it's like, don't go 10 or 11. Can you try and limit that a little bit? They're not even at that mark. And I go back, Andy, you might have been out. It might have been when James Boyd was in, but The Athletic did one of those surveys, where they, anonymous GM, head coach survey.
Yeah, I remember it.
And it was the quarterback tiers.
Yep, I remember.
And in the Richardson tier, it was an anonymous quote, but I thought it was a great quote of, I don't know if you can run an effective offense for him and keep him healthy. He's been healthy through 2 games. Yes, he took a shot or 2 in the Houston game, but I would say all in all, he hasn't taken many shots.
No, he hasn't.
But yet, I wouldn't call the offense effective.
No.
To me, it's been kind of a safe offense. So this is where you get into can you run an effective offense, but keep him healthy? That's the difficult give and take with this so far, because again, offensively, too vanilla. Honestly, when I think of Shane Steichen so far, well, Richardson hasn't missed a snap. So, there is obviously a positive element to it, but still, I thought we'd see a little bit more in the run RPO zone read area than we've seen.
Yeah, I think there's two things for me. I think, and listen, I know the injury history is there. I think you need to, and I'm not saying they're totally doing this, but you can only, this goes to like the defensive line. Let me go back. The defensive line, they've rotated a lot of defensive linemen to keep everybody healthy. Well, you've lost Samson Ebukam for the season. You've lost DeForest Buckner for a month, and that could be more. And you've lost Leatu Latu. I mean, he may not play. I don't know how you feel about that, but he didn't practice on Wednesday. I think today will be a big day for Latu. I mean, so there is a chance while we're trying to rotate everybody that three of the top guys, perhaps three of the absolute top guys, are already injured. So, how much can you legislate injuries? If they're holding anything back on the offensive side, running the football with Anthony Richardson, I mean, they got to get going. They got to get it going now, obviously, against Chicago. And I'm very much I'm with you. In fact, you're more of a 6 or 7. I could easily be convinced to run Anthony Richardson a little more.
Right.
Especially,
you're probably more into what I thought Shane would be at the start of the year.
Yeah, and I deleted this. I kept this for like a week in my inbox, but there were the numbers after week 1. The Colts were near the bottom of the league in pre-snap motion. And that's a little bit interesting, too. I just thought when you think of Shane Steichen, and I think some of that might be Josh Downs.
I would agree with that, in fact, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I think that's a big key. Some of the stuff they did, pre-snap motion with Josh Downs, I think you're going to see that coming up on Sunday against Chicago. So we'll see. Maybe a little bit more AR, maybe a little bit more motion. You get Josh Downs, the offense starts to look a little bit healthier. Before we do a dad dilemma, I thought one of the ones you brought up, the offensive line, Steichen even talked about it yesterday, that the offensive line he thought has been pretty good, and we haven't had an O-line conversation just because the defense has been so bad, and quite frankly, against Green Bay, Anthony Richardson turned the football over.
Yeah, there was a little bit of, I don't know, I guess I'll call it awkward, a little bit of an awkward back and forth between Greg Doyle and Shane Steichen yesterday in the media session where Greg brought up the pass protection.
It's a shocker, by the way. Yeah,
sure.
Those two, really?
Yeah, well.
So Greg Doyle having an awkward conversation at a press conference?
Greg is Greg.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson's completion percentage in a clean pocket. Really, really bad right now. Really, really poor. Certainly some drops need to be factored into that. And it was just awkward because I don't think Shane totally understood what Greg was kind of going for there. I think Greg honestly asked it more of, I guess it depends how you look at it. You can look at it and say, hey, the O-line's been really good, and they've provided all these clean pockets. And then you can look at it and say, well, why hasn't Anthony's completion percentage been higher? Because at some point, the offensive line's probably not going to be as clean as it has been. Injuries are going to occur. The offensive line's been, I don't think any of them been on the injury report here, during the season so far. So that is something to note. Thank you to Brant. He goes, the Colts positivity segment was the best segment of the week. It made me completely forget how bad our run defense is. Greg, right here, might need to turn this into a 2-minute drill of positivity.
We'll have to do that.
I thought we were good till about 3:30.
Yeah. If this were a 5-minute segment, I don't know where I was going to be going after that. I really
So the
did.
full field flag, is this right here? Do I see this right, Alex, in the YouTube chat? The full field flag is 6 pieces snapped together. I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you just thought it was just one big flag all together in one. I mean, I have no idea.
Tell you what, when you watch them unfolded, it kind of it's a great magic act.
When's the last time someone got caught under the flag?
Well, there are multiple times where visiting players
get caught under it?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Did that happen last season? I thought someone got caught last season in the NFL.
And it's like the least athletic kicker. It's like the kicker's out there doing
It's
one more,
Yeah.
42-yarder. Next thing you know, it's like, wait,
Yeah.
Randy Bullock is under the flag. Can someone go get Randy?
I always like how the flag people are like, don't even tell, just go over them. It's fine.
Well, that's the thing is they're so committed to their role. That's why I put them in the positivity.
Mm-hmm.
They're so committed and diligent to doing their job. They don't care about Randy Bullock under the flag.
How do you get that job? That's a volunteer job, I would imagine. You volunteer.
That's season ticket
Assume
holders.
heavy season ticket holder.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Pedigree there. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I would think you've got to be
Yeah, fair enough.
since '84. You got to be a season ticket member.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. So we're going to juggle things just a little bit. Reminder, we're going to have Jason Hammer coming up at 8:45. We usually have him in the 9 o'clock hour, but we are loaded in the 9 o'clock hour. Zak Keefer from The Athletic going to join us in about an hour. Marc Silverman.
The Manning
Silve.
cast. Zak Keefer standing next to Peyton Manning.
That's awesome.
On Monday.
We'll talk some Bears coming up at 9:45. We haven't done this in a while. I got a couple for you today. It's a dad dilemma here on The Fan.
Hi, Daddy.
Uh-oh, the guys have another dad dilemma on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, so this is based around me. If you don't know, I have a 1-year-old. I didn't know. I still don't know anything. I don't know a damn thing about parenting, okay? So we're learning.
You think Mark or I do?
Well, the way this segment is
Mark
set up, you
thinks
guys are the
Aaron
experts.
Rosenberg is real, and you think Simone Biles is pregnant. And I had a dream about Jake Query. That's where my life is at.
It's not good. So here are the two that I have for you fellas today. And I got to be honest, okay? So, Mark, you have 3 girls.
Yep.
I don't know if this is something that that parents of girls go through. I don't know if this is just a boy thing, so don't be too scared. But little Gas Mason, my son, who I love very much, he is to the point now where he's looking ratty. He needs a haircut. And he's got a very full head of hair. He's got much more than his father. He did not get this for me, okay? So he has a lot of hair.
Him on a We Grow Hair Indie special early in his life.
It's beautiful hair. It's beautiful baby hair, and he's got the curls in the back and everything like that. But we are getting to the point here where he is going to need a haircut. What's the proper breaking point for getting that first haircut? You guys got to help me, KB, again. I don't know if this is a boys versus girls thing or what.
I was a heavy disagreement with Maddie on it.
Oh, boy.
I wanted the mullet to keep going.
Okay.
I wanted no part of cutting the hair at all. So, yeah, Maddie, I think, eventually cut Max's hair. Max, certainly, again, we thought the 2-for-1 special with We Grow Hair Indie was needed at some point, and certainly could be. I think right around 18 months is when we cave with Max.
Oh, wow. So you're telling me I have another 5.5 months.
Well, I haven't seen Little Gas, a picture of him lately,
Here,
but
let me show you. I'll pull one up here. So you can
my
see
thing
his
is
hair.
he's going to lose it eventually. You might as well let him grow it, while he can.
Yeah, I mean, for girls, it's a little different. You want it to grow out, so I feel like it's a little different.
Rosie was a little later. I remember Rosie,
So he's getting a little.
Oh, that looks great. Let the
Yeah.
flow go.
Let the flow go.
Oh,
Okay.
that's epic.
Okay. If you done. Yeah, because I'm kind of
Now, this is me. If Nikki was in the room, maybe I would, speak differently.
No, she wants to keep it. She is going to absolutely be heartbroken once the hair goes away. She's scared the curls won't look the same, which they won't, I assume, right? If you cut the curls once or twice, they don't come back. They're baby curls. Again, I have no idea.
Put those in like a Ziploc bag and save them for their baby book.
Right.
Save them in a baby book.
Right next to the first tooth.
Yeah.
All right, so that's number one. The second one, on Friday, we have his his 1 year shots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you do shots as you go, 3 months or whatever, 6 months. And he has had, I forget which ones, the first round or second round of shots, man, they kind of knocked him out for the better part of 48 hours. And I don't mean he was kind of ornery, he's crying.
Sure.
You guys know, I don't need to tell you guys. So do you guys remember, and I know this is different for everybody, and I know some people are using different vaccinations than others. I'm not getting into that, but big picture, okay, the 1 year old shots, is it going to ruin my weekend? That's what I'm asking. Because he gets them Friday at like 1 o'clock.
Maybe
do you guys remember?
Maybe my girls are different. They might cry for a second, but then they give them a popsicle and they're like good to go. We've never really had any issues.
So
with
you didn't get home and there was fussiness or crying or a temperature or anything like that?
Maybe some ibuprofen or something, like liquid ibuprofen, and that's
I would
usually
say the most like a 12-ish hour, maybe 24 hours.
Okay, so by the time I get to college game day, I should be about good on Saturday.
I think Motrin's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
So by the time Pat McAfee is on my screen on ESPN on Saturday morning, we should be settling into a good weekend. All right, well, there we go.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Well, thank you, guys.
This note here from a member of the Colts, let's say the business side of their office. They also utilize some corporate sponsors along with season ticket members for the full field flag.
I'm obviously on all these lists for the Colts and Colts.com and everything like that. And I didn't submit it, but they did have a baby crawl submission.
Let's
You could submit your baby for the baby crawl.
That's a must.
I did see that. So
You could have
maybe
put
I
him on. Put a
I think we had
nice
Jack
wake-up
Doyle's
call
baby
logo on his
at,
back.
I think at a Pacer game did the crawl.
Yeah.
Because you know right now, Max Bowen's helmet pick, the kid's so biased.
Oh, I know. You got to stop that.
I know. It's over. I mean, it's got to be over, right?
I know.
It's fun while it lasted.
I know.
Is that the Rick
Or you gotta,
Carlisle,
like, yeah,
Tristan Thompson quote?
Yeah, you got to like either switch it up, like get alternate helmets or something.
Well, the
or
issue
something.
is this: we need more animals on the side of helmets. Now I really sound like Jay Query. Like the Bears can't have a C. We need a bear on the helmet. That's what's going to attract them.
Right.
Like
He
I
doesn't
think
know what the C is.
I think Colts Lions there could be some indecision. But
Could
I
you
mean,
print out?
Colts Lions is in mid-November. We can't be waiting that long.
I don't know what the ink budget is in the Bowen household, but could you print the logos out instead of doing the helmets? Then he looks at a Bears logo.
I don't like the authentic nature to that.
Okay.
I like the mini helmets.
You guys even have a printer in your home? I don't. I don't mind
We
saying
actually
it.
do. I think it was because of COVID when we both worked at home.
That's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like in the corner. It's always like, is there enough paper in there? It's a miracle the ink hasn't run out of that.
We might still have some of those print-offs that Jake had when he printed every logo of every professional sports team in here.
Oh, that was a disaster.
I'm sure Emmis was happy
And
about
those
that.
are like
that's probably why they got
36-point
bought.
font.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
They're like, listen.
Like you just killed all of the
Do
ink.
we get a full Jaguar on their helmet?
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Is that game coming up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 2 weeks. I don't know. But,
I mean, he can't pick them. I mean, he can't pick Trevor Lawrence. He can't break
what
it.
do you mean? I mean, the Colts haven't won down there since 2014.
It's a fair point.
So maybe
Boy,
Max
they're bad.
Bowen needs to like try to throw a ball into a hoop with a designated team. I don't know. We're trying to think on the fly
now
here
we're
how you
doing-
can,
I mean,
how
doing
we
too
can make
much.
these a little
if the
more
fish was still
unbiased.
alive in our household, maybe we could do that. Colts' second practice of the week upcoming today. Again, the injury report yesterday, I would say relatively clean, certainly based off last Wednesday. Much cleaner. You had Julian Blackmon back to practice. I get that, DeForest Buckner's on IR, so technically he doesn't pop up on the injury report. Latu, Matt Gay. Those are your two DNPs from yesterday. The Latu hip injury considered in the day-to-day mold. So, nothing long-term there. Matt Gay, you have now added a quadricep injury to this. And, again, this is not my medical hat on. I reached out to people after the Matt Gay hernia surgery. We figured out that happened. And the prognosis I kind of got on that was like 4 to 6 weeks. We're about like 3 weeks removed from the surgery, and he's already kicked, and now he has a different injury in the quadriceps. So who knows on that end? Again, you can promote guys off the practice squad 3 times during a season. So Spencer Schrader's already been elevated once. We'll see if he needs to be elevated twice. That would be this Sunday. Cairo Santos, is that the Bears kicker?
Correct.
He made a couple long ones. The other
He's
night,
very
didn't he?
good. He's very accurate. Yeah, he can hit. He can drill some 50-yarders.
Wait, can I go back for a second before I check down and say something about this?
Oh, gosh.
Well, hang on. With not Santos, he's fine. Okay. Matt Gay. To me, you can't fall into what happened with the Giants last week. The Giants last week had Graham Gano, their kicker,
He got hurt early, right?
who told the coaching staff, no, I feel good. He had been battling injuries. Now, there is was this a different injury during the game? But during the game, he got injured on the first kickoff because Washington returned the kickoff for a touchdown. It was called back. There was like 3 holding penalties, but he was chasing, I forget who it was. He was chasing the guy down the field like he was going to catch him, like the kicker was going to catch this guy who's got 4.4 speed, and he pulled some sort of, groin or hammy or whatever, and the Giants did not have a kicker. Now, to me, if you're the Colts, Spencer Schrader, you're absolutely using one of his call-ups here, are you not?
And that was a thing that Brian Mason, their special teams coordinator, had mentioned after week 1 of like the full kicking game day, which to your point, I think people don't truly think about again, there's literally no backup there. So if that guy goes down, you are in scramble mode. By the way, we're getting very mixed reviews. Matt says, tell Andy's the father of 10.
Oh, 10?
10.
10?
What? Boy.
How does that trip to the grocery store work?
Brother, God bless
Father
you.
of 10. I advise that Saturday will be rough for the little guy. That you've got other people that have chimed in and say, no, it won't be an issue. I mean, it's like parenting. Good luck. I mean, you literally.
There's no firm answer on any of these things. I've Googled it because he's been good, but man, I don't know if it was the first or second round of shots. he was not good. And
I'm
it was
trying to
36
think, like,
hours
if it
at
was
least.
the 1-year-old or if it was earlier than that. Yeah, I felt like that it was more of a 24-hour thing for us.
Large families like that, I'm always like, how do you get around? You have to take multiple cars anywhere, right? Like, are you doing like a family road trip and you're taking
Or you got to get like
you got a
specialized
caravan
bus.
of people?
You got a 15-passenger van. You have to, right?
The windowless van?
Yeah, you have to. If you got 10 kids
Good Lord.
and mom and dad, I mean, come on, it's 12 people. Got a dog, there's
Yep.
13.
More
Luggage.
kids than the Colts have captains, and that's saying something here in 2024. All right, Jason Hammer's picks in 20. Zak Keefer was with Peyton Manning Monday night for the Manning cast. He's going to join us coming up at 9:15. We'll get the Bears perspective with Silve. That's Marc Silverman, Waddle, and Silve coming up 9:45. Before all that, let's check it down.
All right, it is inching closer. Colts and Bears coming up Sunday there. Lucas Oil at 1 o'clock. Our coverage will begin at 9 a.m. Now, one guy who will not be playing in the game, and it's not good for the Colts, defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, going to miss at least 4 weeks, put on IR yesterday with that high ankle sprain. We saw it in the Green Bay game. Not good. So, if you get him back in a month or so, actually, that's better maybe than I thought when you saw the injury. His running mate Grover Stewart on the impact of losing DeForest Buckner.
I mean, it'll mean a lot because they know Buck is a game wrecker, and they know we don't have that game record. They're going to try to do different things, but I'll be there. The defense will be there. So.
Yeah, so there's Grover Stewart.
I do think that's a big
we'll
point.
See.
The dilemma of do you double Buck, do you double Grover? Now it's theoretically you just double Grover and live with whatever is next to him. So again, Colts-Bears coming up. That is still a 1-point favorite, the Colts in this one. What do we got tonight? Jets by how many?
I thought it was 8.
6.5.
Oh, it's 6.5. Okay, so
Jets
it's come down a little bit.
At MetLife, 8:15. That is Amazon. Jets, Patriots. Nothing says a big Thursday nighter like an over/under of 38.5. That's what we got tonight. A lot of points probably will be scored in the nation's capital tonight. That is the Fever and the Mystics' final regular season game of the year. What are the Fever playing for? Not much. Seeding, they're locked in. They're the 6th seed. I guess with a win, they'll have their first over 500 record since 2015, so that maybe is something worth mentioning. But again, they're locked into seeding. They will await either Connecticut or Vegas. Connecticut is the 3 seed with a win. Vegas is a 3 seed with a win for them and a loss for Connecticut. So that is what is at stake tonight. If you're looking for a playoff schedule, we'll give it to you tomorrow morning. It'll probably come out late tonight. But think some sort of cadence of Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, and either next Thursday or Friday would be your home playoff game if necessary. Again, it's a best of 3 on the road for the first 2. If you want to avoid the NFL, obviously you can't do it in game 1, but I think Sunday, Wednesday, Friday would be that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine there's too much appointment television next Wednesday.
Do I tell you, Wednesdays, last night, dead on television. Absolutely nothing on television. Nothing. So Tuesday, Wednesday, not bad. Last one for me, a little Major League Baseball. Reds fall to the Braves 7-1. Reds officially eliminated from the postseason. So I'm sure you guys are sad about that. Cubs losers to the A's 5-3. Cardinals over the Pirates 10-5. And again, the Brewers now have officially clinched the NL Central again. The Yankees clinched a playoff spot yesterday. So that final wild card on both the AL and NL, that's what we're watching for now. Indianapolis Indians winners yesterday 10-2 over St. Paul. You got anything else?
I think that wraps up college football again. IU, Notre Dame, heavy favorites. IU has Charlotte at home. Notre Dame has Miami of Ohio at home. And Purdue out to Corvallis taking on Oregon State in this one. What I see there, 6. Does that sound right for that
Yeah, that
spread?
sounds right. Yeah, that sounds about right. I did hear Tom Dienhart was on yesterday. The Purdue Insider was on yesterday with JMV, and he basically called it one of the biggest disasters in Purdue football. That's what happened in the Notre Dame game.
4.5 for Oregon State. It's their biggest loss in 137 years.
Oh, man, he's like, it was about the worst thing possible. So I found that to be a little
Michigan,
bit funny.
do we care about that?
Yes, I do care about that. The only reason
It's a great Jersey game, great fight song game.
It's a great Jersey game. It's a great fight song game. I would say, Sharon Moore it hadn't been that good, and you knew Michigan was going to have to rebuild. So if I'm a USC fan, if I'm Lincoln Riley, you need to go in, you need to win that game. You have the better quarterback, you need to go in and win that game. You need to beat Michigan if you're USC going to the Big Ten. All right, let's take a break. Coming up on the other end, we go into the mind of Mark Dykton. I got to know. We do it next here this Thursday. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
All right, boys. Let's start here. Grade the Pacers offseason.
It's a great
curveball.
I like that. Right to the point. I'm at least going to give them a B plus, and I know you may say, "Well, Andy, why not an A?" I think they got Siakam done right, and that was the number one objective: is to get Siakam done for them. Andrew Nembhard was a huge deal to get him in on a team-friendly deal, and I think what they've done with T.J. McConnell and Andrew Nembhard and Obi Toppin is they've paid those guys and made them happy, while also giving themselves flexibility that if a big-time player making big-time money were to become available, then you could swing a trade because you could make the contracts line up. So because of that, I'm gonna go with the B plus. Is that wrong?
Yeah, I'll probably just give it a B. I think there's a little bit of it's a participation grade. I know that's a tad unfair, maybe because I guess I'm trying to think of what decisions do they really have to make. Siakam was obvious.
I know.
I guess getting the Nembhard deal done, probably to your point, is one that a little bit more than decision. Like the T.J. McConnell thing, how much is it hamstringing you moving forward? Is it not? Is it still kind of that 2-year guaranteed? Do any of these things, I guess, have ramifications on Miles Turner and his extension? That, again, you can't do this year. You can only do coming up next offseason when he is a free agent. That would be a question I would have. I think another reason I probably wouldn't go higher, I still wanted to see more out of Jarris Walker in Vegas. I hate to put too much stock in Vegas, but I wanted to see more dirty work there out of him.
I think that's fair.
Did you see the Benedict Mathurin attacking Miles Turner at the rim?
I saw the dunk. Oh, yeah.
But that was one of those dunks where the ball kind of flies out of the hand early, right?
Yeah, remember
Dwight Howard in the dunk contest?
Remember Blake Griffin did that to somebody? He did that to some big, tall 7-footer at some point. That he did that and everyone lost their mind. I don't know. Remember Andre Drummond? Didn't he dunk on, Brandon Knight or something like that?
God, Brandon Knight. There's a name.
That had to be 8 years ago for Brandon Knight and Andre Drummond to be facing off. So, yeah, I think in the B range.
I'll say
I don't
B,
think you
but
can
not
go
a lot
wrong
of
with
work
that.
in that class. You just showed up and you pretty much got your grade.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Ohio State hosts Marshall on Saturday, and Marshall head coach Charles Huff
love this. I love
said
this.
if any OSU player wants to transfer to Marshall, he's offering an all-you-can-eat biscuit NIL deal. I'll let him take it from here.
Coming up on 8th.
Oh, that's not it. What the hell? Okay, hold on.
Coach Huff, Coach Sweeney.
Sounds like a tease.
That's weird. Okay, well maybe we don't have it. Anyway, he offered a biscuit deal for the any OSU players that wanted to transfer over, and I'm curious, is there a food you would accept in an all-you-can-eat NIL deal?
Well, not if I'm an Ohio State player because I'm making 6 figures.
That's true.
Right?
I'll be honest, I freaking love biscuits. So, yeah, I mean, that would be high on the list.
You biscuits and gravy or just a biscuit with some butter?
So I did some deep, it's like biscuit sandwiches.
I
and
can do either.
They look phenomenal.
Do they?
Yes.
Wow, is this like a Marshall staple?
I don't know, but I'm like, this looks
Huntington, West Virginia, must have.
Yeah, I'm like, I think that's like the wings at what's it called, Magic City in Atlanta. I was like, I think I got to go try those.
Now we haven't. Now KB did not have one, but Cam, who was out there with us, who was our engineer yesterday, we need to find out where the Horizon League got their breakfast from because we both had it was more of an English muffin. We had the sausage and cheese.
Yeah, it was all gone
dude,
by the time
it was fire.
Walked over there.
It was really good.
Fazoli's breadsticks, Donato's pizza, nacho cheese Doritos.
Here's trouble stuff, by the way. I found the sound now, but he is very convincing.
I'd love to have some of those guys from Ohio State, too. So if they want to transfer on down, we've got a Tudor's Biscuit NIL, all you can eat. So if any of those guys that run really, really fast at Ohio State like Tudor's Biscuits, I promise you, all you can eat all day if you transfer here. So, but yeah.
That is hilarious. I hope we never lose this side of college athletics either where like these teams get the chance to play the Ohio States of the world so those quotes can happen. Like Notre Dame's playing Miami of Ohio coming up on Saturday. Their coach, Chuck Martin, they lost their kicker in the transfer portal to Alabama. And so he gets asked about that like a few weeks ago.
I saw this.
And I think the exact question was like, hey, you lost your kicker to Alabama. And he interrupts. He goes, we didn't lose him to Alabama. we know exactly where he went, and we know exactly why he left. And, mentioned tampering and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is epic.
Well, it was like Greg Campy yesterday. He's like, yeah, Trey Townsend, he's going to go make more than me next year by playing one season.
800,000 in Arizona.
At Arizona. So, Ohio State,
by the way, if it's all you can eat and he wants the fastest guys, those guys are going to be running fast. They're all you can eat biscuits.
He might need to get the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
All right, couple more minutes. Let's go.
All right, Cedar Point has unveiled a brand new roller coaster for 2025 called Siren's Curse. It'll be the tallest, longest, and fastest tilt coaster. What's a tilt coaster, you ask? It's where the car gets to a track that comes off the track, tilts you forward, connects to another track, plunging you straight down. 1, are you in?
No.
And 2, are you roller coaster fans?
No, neither.
I'm a yes and a yes.
I was a Connor Prairie hot air balloon guy.
That's
You think I'm gonna coaster it up?
Now, I haven't been many years to Cedar Point, but I should. I'm angry that I haven't. My family growing up, big time. Kings Island, Disney, Cedar Point, obviously, all those places, big time roller coasters. So yeah, I would love to ride this at some point, 100%.
Big roller coaster fan. I would do that one more than I would do like the ones that shoot you like 200 miles up in the air. I forget what it's called, like X2 or something like that. I'm like, no, thank you on that one.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. It looks terrifying.
It looks absolutely horrifying. You're looking straight down for like 15 seconds, and then it releases.
Dabbled in Holiday World yet with the girls, Mark?
Yeah, we've gone.
I'm very much looking forward to the kids getting to that age where
it is. It's a good time. There are plenty of rides.
Are we
for
just
all
still
ages.
doing the free sunscreen and soft drinks?
Oh, you know it. You know it.
Yeah, that's a staple of theirs.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try to get out there. Before the end of the season, we'll see if we can. But it's always a good time.
Their Halloween stuff's pretty impressive, if I'm not mistaken.
And they got a brand new roller coaster too. That's for kids, but it's like what do they call it? Like a back and forth coaster where it goes up and down, but it's not crazy. It's like 30 miles an hour at most. It's not bad.
Okay.
Max can handle that. Maddie can handle that. And everybody can handle it.
No,
Rosie.
Can KB handle it?
Kevin might sit out.
Yeah, I'm not
Kevin
worried
might
about
sit
them.
it out. Everyone else
I'll
will ride
reapply
the gravy
sunscreen.
train.
I'll go in the lazy pool.
Yeah, the lazy pool's fun too. All right, good stuff there. I got to know here on this Thursday. We'll take a break. On the other end, Jason Hammer had a good week 1, if I'm not mistaken, because of the Tua injury. No offense, maybe not the best week 2, but we got to find out who he has tonight, week 3 on Thursday Night Football. We'll do it next. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We got to 10 o'clock right here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
9 o'clock hour, we'll get back into Colts and Bears. Zak Keefer, again, he was alongside Peyton Manning cast on Monday night. He joins us coming up at 9:15. Right now, we usually have him in studio, and thankfully, he's been flexible with us to move a little bit earlier in the show, but I guess that means we don't get moonshine here on this Thursday morning.
May need it if the Colts go 0-3.
Jason Hammer, that
one bad week, and I get banished to the phone an hour earlier. Boy, life comes at you fast. Goodness gracious, guys.
We are a results-oriented business, Hammer. Come on now. Wins, and yes, you're in the penthouse. Losses, you're in the outhouse. What do we like tonight on Thursday Night Football?
All right, so before I talk about tonight's game, I need to have a ruling from you guys. I know you're affiliated nationally with ESPN. So if I say that I hate everything about the New York Jets, will you guys be immediately yanked off the air?
As a Giants fan, Andy Sweeney, go ahead and comment on that.
No, I'm annoyed. JMV gets annoyed all the time. Every time Greeny talks about the Jets, JMV gets annoyed. So I think you're okay.
That show is a Jets show.
Yeah, I think you're okay bashing away, Hammer. Go ahead. Do what you do.
Good, bad. Because let's be honest, if this were not a Thursday night game where it's the only game in town, I don't know if I'm putting action on this thing. This thing tonight, if it were a movie, would be Caddyshack 2. You've got the Patriots that can't score but have been playing above their head. It's the home opener for the Jets, and I guess Aaron Rodgers is kind of interesting, but they haven't looked real sharp. So here's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to be miserable watching it, right? I don't like either of these teams. It's shaping up to be a horrible, gross type of game. So if you're going to go gross, go gross. If you're going to go big, go big. I'm going under 38.5. I'm going to hold my nose. I'm going to watch this thing, and I'm going under because I think both defenses are pretty good. Like, the Patriots can't score. Jacoby Brissett can't throw the ball deep down the field, but their run defense is pretty good. Jets, they haven't been great, but they're not bad. I think both teams try to establish the run. You know the Patriots can't throw the ball. And if the Jets get a little bit of a lead here, I just think they run the ball. They're going to make Jacoby Brissett beat them through the air. I don't think he can. The line is 6. It's a little rich for my blood in a divisional game. So, man, I hate it. But, yeah, let's go punts. Let's go turnovers. We're going to go under 38.5 tonight.
Yeah, what you need is a first quarter missed field goal or interception. You need it to be like 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. That way we're working with like 35.5 points, and we should be good to go. Jason Hammer with us, Payless Liquors hotline. Find them, 93.1 WIBC. Also, Degenerates Next Door podcast. I think if I'm not mistaken, you guys have an episode coming out at about 1 o'clock today. Is that right?
Yeah, so every Tuesday we drop the college football episode. Your first look at the big games, the big lines, that's out now. And then at 1 o'clock this afternoon, we'll have the NFL edition.
Perfect.
Myself, my fellow degenerate, Rob Kendall, and we also have a couple professionals in there to bring a little credibility. So, yeah, man, there's some games I like this weekend. There's some prop bets that we're in on tonight, this weekend, and we'll talk about all that kind of stuff.
All right, before we get to that, I just have a betting question for you because this keeps going around in my mind as well as it pertains to the NFL. Hammer, the offenses are bad in the NFL right now. And the over-unders this week are showing you. I mean, not only tonight, 38.5, but, I mean, we have a 40 in here. The Giants and Browns are 38.5. The Chargers and Steelers are 36. Packers and Titans, 38. A bunch of 40, 41s, 41.5s. A lot more field goals than touchdowns. So, I don't know, as you guys are recording a podcast or you're laying these bets down, where is that in your mind, how much the scoring right now is down in the NFL?
I think more so than just a week-to-week type of deal because teams can make adjustments week to week. You kind of got to look at a little bit bigger body of work here. Like, here's the reason why I went under tonight on this Thursday night game instead of Jets -6. If you go back to 2010, okay, this is a pretty large body of work here. Since 2010, Thursday night primetime unders that have a total of 40 or less, the under has cashed 73% of the time. Now, if you take that next level and remove the frozen games in December and January, it cashes at 82% of the time. Now, if it were just a few above the Mendoza line, you'd say, okay, it's 50-50. But that's a pretty big discrepancy there.
Again, Jason Hammer is with us here. You hear him, Hammer and Nigel, in afternoons on WIBC, and he's got the Degenerates Next Door podcast we've referenced. Hammer, anything in the college world you like this weekend? IU and Notre Dame, big 4-touchdown favorites. Purdue, after certainly a historically putrid performance, as a 4.5-point underdog out at Oregon State. Whether it's locally or I guess nationally, anything in the college football world?
So the big game, I think, is probably Tennessee at Oklahoma.
That's your Vols.
Right? Rocky Top, man, this is a big one. Oklahoma is so good at home. They rarely lose non-conference. Well, it's a conference game now, but they rarely lose this early in the season at home. Tennessee comes in, though. They're rolling. I may be a homer, but I think Tennessee's got the better quarterback. I think Tennessee's got a pretty good pass rush. I think they've got the number 1 rated edge rusher if you look at the NFL mock drafts. And I think they got the better coach, man. I like Tennessee in this spot. A lot of Oklahoma money is coming in late. So if you're a Vols backer, maybe you wait just a little bit today, tomorrow, see if you can get that as low as you can. I made my move on Tuesday, and I got it at 6.5. But I like Tennessee in this spot.
Hammer with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. All right, last one for me, just to kind of skip back to the NFL. I remember a couple weeks ago you were in here and you're like, we need to learn if Anthony Richardson is good at football. The Colts are 0-2. They've been miserable. We've been yelling and screaming about them for 3.5 days around here, Hammer. Give me something with the Colts. Where do you think they are right now? Do you think they win on Sunday?
So, listen, they got issues, and it's not just Anthony Richardson. Like, I told Kevin this when he joined our show on Monday. I'm a little over the coaching staff trying to get too cute on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. You got a quarterback who's built like a linebacker. This is why you drafted him, right? Run the freaking football. Stop trying to get too cute with it. So it's not just all on Richardson, but, man, if I'm looking at this Colts game this weekend, Andy, you hit on it earlier. I don't think these are teams that put up big numbers, and I hate betting the under. Nobody wants to root for punts and 3 and outs, but it just feels like this is a 23-20 type of game, and I see the total at 43.5. I think I'm going under.
Bears have not allowed over 20 in 8 straight games, so this has the feeling, I think, almost first one to 17, first one to 20. Could indeed win it. All right, Jason Hammer, we can't wait. No matter what happens, we'll have you back in studio coming up on Thursday. Thank you for the time, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
That's Jason Hammer right there. Hammer and Nigel again, 3 to 7 on WIBC. The Bears defense.
I know, it's good. It's good.
First one to 3 scores. First one to get 3 scores.
What if this game's 42-35? All of our fan picks are going to come out, and they're all going to be 19-17, 16-13. The game ends up 38-33.
I'm a little surprised the over-under isn't lower.
Really? It's 43 right now. I am seeing some places it's still 43.5.
I mean, again, Chicago has not allowed over 20 points in 8 games. 8 straight. I mean, there are some decent quarterbacks on that schedule.
Well, and Chicago can't score.
Right. That's, you
combine those two things.
I view first to 17, first to 20 here in this one. So something has to give in this matchup.
Yeah, well, pretty good stuff by Hammer. I keep forgetting he went to Tennessee. He went to Tennessee, right?
Big old Vol fan.
He's just a big old Vol fan.
Yeah, he is a big Vol fan.
Are you going to an SEC game this year? Last year you went to Alabama, Tennessee?
Tennessee, Georgia.
Or Tennessee,
we went
Georgia.
To last year.
Yeah.
No, I don't. As much as, when you're there, you're like, oh, this will be an annual thing. And then you're like,
Right.
Oh, wait, life happens.
You and the boys. You can't get away for an entire weekend after you already worked just basically every weekend with the Colts playing every single Sunday.
Okay, there's 18 weeks in an NFL season. I work every weekend. The one bye week, you're also going to be out of town. So, yeah.
You'd be golfing in the Rockies.
The
Smokies.
I wish.
All right, well, good stuff there from Hammer. Check it out, 1075thefan.com. And again, they have their NFL side of their podcast coming out. He and Rob Kendall, Degenerates Next Door. Catch that. That's going to be coming out at about 1 o'clock or so. We'll get back to the Colts conversation in 15 minutes. Zak Keefer from The Athletic joins us. 9 o'clock hour around the corner. It's a Thursday right here on The Fan.
Zak Keefer going to join us here in about 15. He was with Peyton Manning at the Manning Cast on Monday night. So he will chat with us here coming up. One thing to note, this was late last week, and I know, Juju Brents has a local tie, certainly to his Warren Central days. He did tweet this out. This is in reference to the season-end, I should say it's not officially season-ending injury, but the knee injury he suffered in that game against the Texans. Juju said this: I hurt my knee early in the second quarter of the game by contact, and I decided I was going to keep playing. No one initially thought this would be something to sideline me for a significant period of time. Love my teammates, the game. I said if I go back in time, I wouldn't hesitate to make the same decision over again. I'll be back soon. So it was a contact injury on that end with Juju Brents. I believe MCL is the early report on that. So, again, that's one of those that, I feel like we will quickly forget about. And yet, it's like, oh boy, that depth at corner. I know it didn't get tested a whole lot in week 2, but eventually it's going to get tested.
Well, that's the thing. I've said this to you all week that we haven't even, KB, we haven't got to the game to where either the secondary plays well, and when I mean playing well, they create havoc, they're getting turnovers, they have a couple picks, they're knocking down balls, whatever it may be, and perhaps that game happens on Sunday. We also haven't, listen, Colts fans know, we also haven't got to the game to where they got just absolutely brutalized, right? They had some of that. There were some big plays made by C.J. Stroud, but the story of that game was very much Joe Mixon running all over you, right? And then, of course, Malik Willis is out. I was looking forward to them being challenged. Hey, what do you have against a guy like Jordan Love and a bunch of young, good wide receivers, but no one on that team is a Tyreek Hill, right? When you look at some of maybe the upper, no one's a Justin Jefferson, the upper echelon of wide receivers. And, even though, the Bears game and obviously the Steelers game, and you never win in Jacksonville, the next 3 games for the Colts, those offenses are not good offenses. And Jacksonville, Chicago really aren't good offenses right now. And so, are they going to be tested? And then you get Miami, you get Tennessee. Will Levis is a turnover machine. He's a mess at times. And Skylar Thompson in 5 weeks is going to be the quarterback here in Lucas Oil. So it's kind of odd. We thought this would be a bigger story. I still think it is going to be a bigger story, but it's going to be more towards the middle back, kind of the middle of the season, I think could be where, we start to have those conversations about the secondary. But, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, the Titans, Skylar Thompson, boy, there's some quarterbacks. They're winnable quarterback games. But when the Colts have played as lackluster as they've had, I'm no longer willing to say, well, the Bears offense stinks, I'll take the Colts. That's what they've lost with me by playing the way they did in Green Bay last Sunday.
When you have a rookie quarterback and you said their offense stinks, their offensive line certainly has been a major issue early in the year. When you have a rookie quarterback making a second road start and all those things are true about their offense, I think the common thought is if you win the coin toss, you send your defense out there first. You want that place rocking. You want the rookie to be out there early. You want the pass rush to be out there early. You want to kind of feast on that. I'll be curious to see what Shane Steichen does on Sunday if that happens. We've seen him do each side of it. He took the ball in week 1, deferred in week 2.
I think he'll take the ball.
I think he takes it and comes out with tempo right away.
I agree.
Because they've struggled out of the gate. They've struggled to get off to good starts. And look at Chicago's defense. That is a stout defense. Can you throw? And I know it's not foreign for the Colts to use tempo. They've used tempo really a lot under Shane Steichen. But if you can get into a comfortable personnel grouping, especially with Josh Downs on the field, now all of a sudden, is that something you can do? It's wild to think this. One, the Colts have yet to have really a normal scoring drive all year. And by that, I would define that as just a somewhat methodical 8-play, 60-some-yard drive that ends in a score. They also have played 120 minutes of football and led for 8 of them. So when you've led for 8 of 120 minutes, doing something different.
And that was all week 1, obviously, right?
Yeah, the end of the first quarter, early second, as you hit the deep ball to Pierce. You got up, 7-6, I think it was?
7-6, yeah.
Yeah, and you had that lead for a little bit there. That's where I think you need to try and do something different. So this is a big one. Big one on Sunday in terms of adversity. I touched on this earlier. Last year you were 3-5 at one point. You were 3-5 with the ultimate slump busters of Bryce Young and the Panthers, followed by Mac Jones and the Patriots. That's not the Bears and the Steelers.
No, it's not.
The Bears and the Steelers are not, the greatest show on turf.
I mean, the Steelers made the playoffs last year.
Sure, and they have game wreckers still, and Chicago's got game wreckers on their defense. So that's where it's different. Carolina and New England, I don't think we're touching that last year, especially not at that point of the season when they were full-on mock draft zone. So that's where I think it's just a little different of, yes, these games are in your own building. Those two were away from home. But I just think I think there's a little bit more of an uneasy nature to this current state. Maybe it's the Buckner injury adding to it versus where you were at last year when you were 3-5.
Well, think about this, and this is one thing I was going to bring up tomorrow. I'll obviously a different audience tomorrow, so I can throw it out then as well. I am struggling with this game. Struggling. If I told you guys,
Joe Namath reference.
We need to have that on a hotkey. If I told you guys, you can't use the Bears, you have to use the Colts, and give me reasons for the Colts, from the Colts, drawing from the Colts, that you think they're going to win the game. I'm not sure. It's like our positive only segment in the 8 o'clock hour. I don't know what they would be, right? I don't know what they would be. I mean, I could come up with things that Jonathan Taylor is going to run, unlike, the Bears are going to allow JT to do what they have not allowed other running backs to do. That's where I struggle with this game is if I pick the Colts, even though the Bears have been generic as hell on offense, and by the way, week 1, they needed Will Levis to just go out of body, out of mind stupid, and I'm not denigrating. They're 1-1. You get the win, you move on in the NFL. The Colts would easily take Malik Willis, to have done something stupid Sunday and the Colts return a fumble and run it in the end zone and escape with the 17-16 win. We'd have much more hope than we have today. I agree with you that it feels like there is just, there's a negativity around them. It's why I go back to somebody has to lift them out of the negativity. Michael Pittman's got to catch an 8-yard pass and make it into a 55-yard touchdown. Kenny Moore, instead of getting beat by Malik Willis on an out pattern for a touchdown, was it Romeo Doubs? You can't allow that. You get the pick. You get the pick six. That's what we saw in Carolina. That's what we saw against New England.
Sniffed defensive playmaking.
They just got to make plays. When they, last year, I gave you the stats yesterday. I think it was they were 7-0. I mean, this is my big thing tomorrow that I was going to talk about. The Colts were 0-6 last year when they lost the turnover battle. They were 7-0 when they won the turnover battle. And they were a 500 football team, 2-2 when the margin was even. Sometimes it's that simple. Anthony Richardson can't throw interceptions, especially when one of them was going to lead to points. And this defense, Zaire Franklin helped save the game for a little while on Sunday against Green Bay. They just got to do something. Someone's got to do something.
Well,
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Great, and very, very quick find by Mark Titan.
They're like, Joe Namath is drunk. I'm like, yeah, he's drunk on the sideline. He's Joe Namath.
And by the way, Andy did mention there we had a 4-minute all-positive Colts segment. Mark, throw that on the best of. That certainly needs to be in there today. We did that in the 8 o'clock hour if you would like to go back and check that out. I can't even remember any near turnovers the Colts have had outside of Franklin. Like, do you remember anybody dropping an interception?
They had an interception, but Kenny Moore held 3 times on the play against C.J. Stroud. So if you count that,
he was one of the culprits on the whole. He held and Jalen Jones held. So
and Jalen Jones, yeah.
I can't go there. Like, Quay Walker on the final drive of the game on Sunday, he drops the interception that ended up in a Hail Mary interception. So it's like, other teams have dropped, the Texans linebacker who punched the dude in the Bears, he dropped an interception in week 1. Like, have the Colts forced any other fumbles? Even that, like, they haven't even had the other moments to where it's been near playmaking. Offensively, they have been a playmaking unit. I mean, again, if you look at it, they've created some big plays in the passing game. And, again, their rushing offense is number 1 in the league, actually, in a yards per carry standpoint with a couple chunk runs. So the trickle-down effect, the domino effect off of being a historically horrific run defense team to start the year,
is you keep things comfortable for the opposing offense. You don't get into third and longs. You don't get into any stressful passing situations, and you are unable to play make on that side of the ball. And again, that's the unit with 11 starters back, with a third-year defensive coordinator, with drafting Latu. That's the unit that should be able to have more on their plate. They should be able to do more heavy lifting. They need to do it, and they have not done that against one of the backup quarterbacks. I get that people can point to the points allowed stat, and maybe it's not as damning as some of the other stuff, but still, the responsibility on that side of the ball, that's for your 17-year-old, not for your 2-year-old. And I think that's how it has to be viewed.
Zak Keefer from The Athletic going to join us coming up in about 5 minutes. Last thing I'll say on this conversation, and this is more of a tomorrow topic I was thinking in my mind, but let's be honest for a second, guys. If the Colts defense struggles and DeAndre Swift, who was 2 yards a carry, what does he have, 46 yards, 48 yards, Mark? Something like that. If Caleb Williams, who was throwing for under 100 yards in a game, and he got beat up in week 2, if he is out there balling out, if DJ Moore is happy instead of pouting on the sideline, if DeAndre Swift is 5.5 yards per carry, the next week of anger at Gus Bradley, like this week you thought it was bad. I can't even imagine the stratosphere it's going to go to next week if the Colts allow 4 touchdowns by this Bears offense on Sunday. I can't imagine it.
We've been duped a lot. Let's just not get duped over any Gus Bradley job security tweets. Can we all make a pact here in the studio?
Senior NFL writer Adam Schefter, senior NFL writer. You got to watch out for
Schefter
that one.
Out there.
Gotta
Zak
watch out.
Keefer in 5. He was with the Manning Cast on Monday. We'll chat with him in a few. Before that, let's do an earlier morning checkdown.
All right, before we get to Thursday night football, we always give the Colts sound at the beginning of your morning checkdown. Shane Steichen and a bunch of players meeting with the media yesterday. I want to ask you one thing, KB, quickly before we dive into this. Has Jonathan Taylor, has he been in the locker room? When would he meet with the media?
Today.
So he would do it
Taylor's
today?
a Thursday guy. Taylor and Buckner are Thursday guys. They like to kind of spread out their player, which I totally understand and agree with. So, yes, we'll chat with Jonathan Taylor coming up later this morning. And he was, for what it's worth, not on the injury report yesterday. You know, some guys are still on it.
Sure.
Practicing full. Was it Kenny Moore, I think, with a thumb might have been on it yesterday. Practicing full. But, yes, Taylor, no injury.
All right, good deal. So we should hear from JT coming up today. Here's Shane Steichen. He's tired of losing. Anthony Richardson's tired of losing. They know they got to go out there and basically get a win.
As a quarterback, too, and as a coach, right, you own it. Like, shoot, everyone looks at the coach, everyone looks at the quarterback and stuff, but it's good. It means something to them, you know what I mean? Everyone's frustrated when you lose. No one wants to lose football games. But, again, I tell these guys all the time, man, it's a long season, man. Shoot, you could lose 2 in a row, week 8 and 9. We just happened to do it the first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Now we got a hell of an opportunity to come back home and play Chicago.
All right, so there's Shane Steichen, and now here's your quarterback, Anthony Richardson. The sense of urgency to get a win after starting the season, early season, 0-2.
You know, every week you're eager. You know, you're ready to play. You're ready to ball out, ready to do whatever. You know, whatever it takes to win. You know, it's the same mindset, though, regardless of what happened last week. It's in the past. You know, we lost. Forget about it. You just got to go out there and play and win.
Richardson, Caleb Williams, working out together in the offseason. Remember, we had Will Hewlett on, Richardson's QB coach. Who are the other QBs? Purdy, Gardner Minshew. It was a variety of guys, remember? That they said worked out together in Jacksonville with Will Hewlett. Not just the big arm guys.
I'm trying to remember the other ones that I can't.
Because remember, Richardson said one thing you wanted to emulate of Brock Purdy's. He thinks he's such a great middle-of-the-field thrower, throwing with anticipation, those things. So, little relationship with Caleb Williams and Anthony Richardson. All right, we will swoosh it on to the season finale tonight of Fever and Mystics. Slight underdog in this one. The Mystics are playing for the final playoff spot. The Fever have nothing to play for from a seed standpoint. They will either take on Connecticut or Las Vegas in the first round of the playoffs. That is a best-of-3 series with 2 road games to start coming up on Sunday. We'll see if they can finish over 500 for the first time since 2015. team.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if they could do that. Quickly, Major League Baseball, Reds fall to the Braves 7-1. But the story, the Reds are now eliminated officially from playoff contention. So big story. We should have led with that today here on the wake-up call. Cubs fell to the A's 5-3. Cardinals over the Pirates 10-5. And yesterday, the Brewers officially clinched the NL Central. Indianapolis Indians winners 10-2 there in St. Paul.
Well, his work is from a national standpoint now. You find it over on The Athletic, the outstanding feature writer, and he is one of our own, though, here in Indy. That is Zak Keefer on the Payless Liquors hotline. Zach, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Did you have a fun Monday night? I think a lot of people would be jealous to see what you did on Monday.
Honestly, KB, it was really, really cool. It was really cool. I was talking to Peyton in the summer for something. I don't remember what the topic was, but I kind of just decided to shoot my shot, and I just said, Peyton, is there any way you just let me hang out with you while you film the Manning cast? And I thought 99 out of 100, he'd just say, no way. And he's like, sure, come on out. And the coolest part was he shared all the voice memos that him and Eli send to each other all week long, and these are hilarious. Like, they're making fun of each other. They're detailing stuff they get from Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins, the quarterback's playing that night. And then I went to this garage in Denver. It's not actually Peyton's house. It's his friend's garage.
Really?
Wow.
And it's got like 20 collector cars. I mean, the story behind how he hooked up with this friend is hilarious, too. That'll be in the story coming out next week. But watching football with Peyton Manning for 3 hours Monday night was absolutely a life goal.
What are the breaks like when they go to break and it's he and Eli and the producers and maybe even Bill Belichick? What are the breaks like in the Manning cast?
They are gold, Andy. It is gold. So I show up, and this is just Peyton, right? Like Peyton, like anytime you talk to Peyton Manning, he like calls you at that exact time. Like you guys know in this industry, like people are late. We spend half our lives waiting for people to call us. Peyton calls like a minute early. So I get there, and it's exactly what I think. Peyton has a headset for me with my name labeled on it. So I'm listening to him talk to the producers for the next 4 hours, essentially. He's given Belichick grief and you know, pregame. Belichick's given them grief when they're off the air. Eli he's got some over Belichick, right? The 2 Super Bowls. It's exactly what you want it to be. And Peyton told me this for the story. He's like, look, I didn't really want him to go into broadcasting, but when they said I could do this, I said, sure. And more than anything, I just wanted it to be like if you were sitting next to me at the bar or sitting next to me on the couch watching football, this is what it's like. And that's exactly what it's like. Peyton is not acting at all. You guys know from watching. And he is into the game. Like, it's really funny to watch how different him and Eli are. Our Giants reporter, Dan Duggan, was in New Jersey in Eli's basement for that side of the story. So it's going to be a really cool back and forth. But, I mean, Peyton's on the edge of his seat. He gets really mad when there's bad offensive football. He hates penalties. It's exactly like what his teammates have told me what it was like to play with him. And Eli, on the other hand, is just kind of sitting back, doesn't really say much, just calm, cool. It's just really funny, the dichotomy when you think about it. But Peyton was intense this whole time, so it was really fun to watch.
Again, that story will be next week on The Athletic. Zak Keefer is with us here. Zach, last one for me on this subject. We just sent out the picture of you next to Peyton in the Manning cast. Who else is there? Like, I mean, how many production people are there? I mean, obviously someone's taking that photo of you. But I'm kind of curious, like that aspect to it of, how much is there other quarterbacking, I guess, with these two guys who obviously don't have a ton of like history doing this prior to the Manning cast?
Yeah, so there's 12 people there,
okay.
And Peyton walks in. It's not like a really nice part of Denver. It's this garage that you wouldn't even know if you drove right past it. He pulls his car in so nobody sees him. He basically walks right to his seat. They do a little bit of makeup, and everybody's already set up when he gets there. But there's about 12, and again, this is not ESPN people. This is Omaha. So Omaha produces all of this, and then ESPN basically pays for the Manning cast. So I don't know what kind of setup Eli has in his basement because I doubt he could fit 12 people. But as you guys can tell from the broadcast, Peyton certainly seems to quarterback the broadcast.
Zak Keefer with us from The Athletic. Again, he'll have that piece coming up next week. Watching some football with Peyton Manning on the Manning cast is always fantastic. I wanted to ask you this. You retweeted this yesterday on the Scoop City podcast. Chase Daniel and Diana Rossini, and it's about 90 seconds if you go to Zach's Twitter account there. You know, Chase Daniel, former NFL quarterback, came out and he said, I'm not freaking out yet about the Indianapolis Colts. They're still figuring things out. Rossini was the opposite. She is freaking out about the way the Colts have played through 2 weeks. And you retweeted that you agreed with Diana on this one, that you too are freaking out with the Colts being 0-2. I think I know the reasons. They're pretty obvious, but I want you to tell us, why are you freaking out as the Colts 0-2 playing Chicago on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm anxious for your guys' thoughts on this as well. I'm sure you've talked about it all week, and KB, you know, you've been around this team for so long. It doesn't it just feel stale? Like, doesn't this approach, doesn't these results, doesn't the early season junk every year, doesn't it all just feel really stale right now? And the reason I agreed with Diana on that is because I'm not freaking out about Anthony Richardson in the offense. I'm just not. It's too early. He's going to have good days and bad days this season. Let's evaluate him on January 15th, whenever it's over, and see where he's at. If he's healthy at that point, then you'll see what his rookie season looks like, right? This is essentially his rookie season. The reason I'm so tired of this is the defense, is what Diana pointed out. She pointed out that everybody knew in the world that they're going to run the ball with Malik Willis the quarterback, and they're going to hand it off to Jacobs. And they ran for 1 billion yards in the first quarter. It had shades of, for the fans that go back, that 2006 season when they went to Jacksonville and gave up 375 and couldn't tackle anybody. That's what I felt like I was watching on Sunday. And this is supposed to be the backbone of the team. And if you want this to be the backbone of the team, that's fine. That's what Chris Ballard has said since the day he walked in the building. It's going to be about more than the quarterback. It's going to be about the trenches. And he's lived that in terms of what he's done and signings. I mean, they went out and paid Buckner and made him the highest paid defensive tackle besides Aaron Donald, right? If you want to live that, you found Grover Stewart. I can go on and on. That's fine. I'm okay with that in today's NFL. But then you got to deliver that. And if you're not going to be that, then what are we doing right now? Because you're not good enough at everywhere else. Your quarterback's still young. I mean, Michael Pittman, they can't get an explosive play to him. And I was talking to Peyton about this because he was curious about the state of the Colts as well. And I don't know if I can sum it up any better. And this doesn't mean to be a shot at Richardson, but right now he's more of a highlight than a quarterback, right? Like, I go back long enough covering this team to remember the times when Chris Ballard's been asked about the quarterback position and all the different guys they churned through. And I do remember that you got to make the layups comment. But again, a couple of years before that, when Lamar started to take over the league, Chris was asked about quarterback play, and he said, you still got to win from the pocket. And that's what we're not seeing right now. And we're just not seeing Anthony Richardson win from the pocket. He can make unbelievable fourth down touchdown runs like he did against the Texans. He can make maybe the best throw I've ever seen in person like he did, but you got to win from the pocket. And so it's two ways. It's Richardson finding that level of consistency, and number two, it's like, if you're going to be about stopping the run and being great up front, then you got to be about it and deliver that on Sundays and not get rolled by a Packers team that everybody knows is going to run the ball.
Great stuff from Zak Keefer from The Athletic. Zach, I just got a couple of ones. I don't know if you saw this or heard this audio, I should say, yesterday, but I asked you because you were on the beat at the time. Matt Eberflus, of course, back inside of Lucas Oil Stadium coming up on Sunday, defensive coordinator here in the Frank Reich era. Zaire Franklin was a Colts linebacker with Matt Eberflus. We'll play this audio again. This was Zaire Franklin on the return of Matt Eberflus this weekend.
Yeah, so obviously, number one overall pick. I mean, he's a great player. Watched him a lot in college. And familiar faces on the sideline as well. So looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah. What feelings about Flus coming back?
I have no feelings about him, but I'm looking forward to playing Chicago Bears.
So clearly, Zaire Franklin, none too pleased. Don't think we'll get the old pregame bro hug between Matt Eberflus and Zaire Franklin. He's pissed. I don't know how much of a right he has to be pissed in this, Zach. I never felt like we discussed, like, should they really change up the linebacker playing time under Matt Eberflus? It's like Darius Leonard was really good. Bobby Okereke was pretty good. Anthony Walker was a nice player. Am I missing something there?
No, you're not. And I don't blame Zaire. I mean, he 7th round pick, had to grind on special teams, had to earn his way in the lineup, got paid, was overlooked a lot. But again, and then I would say this to Zaire if we were sitting right next to him, like, who were you going to play ahead of? I mean, Walker was a solid starter. Okereke was a little bit better than that. in Darius's prime, I mean, Leonard was the most he turned the ball over like no linebacker I've ever seen before. I mean, he was defensive rookie of the year. He was a problem for quarterbacks and defensive coordinators. And I'm not putting 44 on the field ahead of 53. But it makes for a fun storyline this week, I think a little bit. But I thought Flus did a pretty dang good job. People forget how bad that defense was at the end of the Pagano era. Flus did a pretty good job pretty quickly at getting that unit to be pretty solid. Now, there were certainly days that were bad, including his last game as coordinator, that disaster in Jacksonville. But again, I'm not putting Zaire on the field over peak Darius Leonard, not in a million years.
Zak Keefer with us from The Athletic. Last one for me, Zach, and appreciate the time on this Thursday. 9 teams now 0-2 in the NFL, and a couple notable ones when you look at teams like the Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Does any team right now that's 0-2 actually go on and make the postseason, and who do you think it could be?
I'll tell you who I don't think it's going to be the Colts. I mean, our athletic beat writer, James Boyd, was kind of looking up the other day that old stat of like how many teams that are 0-2 make the playoffs. And I get why you got to do that, but like, what do you guys see in this team that tells you playoffs right now? Like, I have huge concerns on both sides of the ball. I'm not going to pick the LA Rams just because of the injuries. I think they're a good team, but they have just been destroyed by injuries right now. I think the Ravens are fine. I didn't love the game against the Raiders last week where they kind of just let Max Crosby tear him up. I think they're going to take a step back, but I think with Lamar, I mean, his regular season win percentage is still incredible. But that's a tough division, and the Bengals started to play a little bit better. That's another thing that they can do it. You know, they've been 0-2 a million times before. Burrow looked like Burrow on Sunday after looking terrible in week 1. So I think it's probably the Ravens or the Bengals, not both, but one. But I don't see the playoffs for the Colts this year. Not what we've seen so far. I have some huge concerns, and they always seem to dig themselves a hole in September, and it's just exhausting to try and climb out of that for the next 3 months.
We'll end with this. Zak Keefer from The Athletic with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. I know you had a pretty close relationship with Frank Reich. We see the disaster that Carolina continues to be here as of late. Now with Dave Canales pulling the plug on Bryce Young, going to Andy Dalton. Let's go back to that draft. Do you think Frank Reich really wanted to take Bryce Young, or do you think there was a different thought there that maybe ownership all of a sudden interjected with?
I had dug into this, KB. I've written a lot about the other guy, C.J. Stroud, that went number 2. You know what Frank's preference is, right? I mean, we all know this. I mean, they drafted Jacob Eason, right? So Frank likes the big, tall, strong quarterback. And I sort of asked him at the owners' meetings that year, which was about a month before the draft, I kind of said, like, I think I know who you're going to take. And he kind of laughed and shrugged it off. Now, Frank outwardly and publicly has always said it was consensus Bryce Young. We know who the owner wanted. The owner wanted Bryce Young. But I know deep down, Frank will probably never say this, that he likes the big, tall, strong quarterbacks. And that's everything C.J. Stroud is. And I talked to another executive who worked them both out the same day in California during that draft prep. And he said it wasn't even close. Like, wasn't even close in terms of throwing potential, processing, all that. He said it was Stroud by a mile. Now, these guys, I mean, for all the criticisms they get, they're not idiots. You put those two on the field together, there's one player and there's another. Like, there's a huge difference. So I think this is going to go down as one of the worst draft picks in history. I mean, it's just staggering how much better C.J. Stroud is so quickly than Bryce Young. Now, that's a tough situation to walk into. I was down there this year in training camp for a story on Dave Canales. And I mean, Bryce Young, like, goes up to my shoulders, and I'm not a huge guy. And it's just, like, whether he's great at processing or not, like, this is you got to be a big guy to hold up in this league. And they set him up to fail. And I think gun to the head, Frank Reich would have gone with C.J. Stroud.
Andy Dalton, the man that was the quarterback opposite the Colts the last time they played a home playoff game. Now that is the starter.
That's a great
in Carolina. To bring it full circle there. Many Januaries ago, Zak Keefer was covering the Colts back then. Zach, can't wait, man. That's awesome that Peyton entrusted you to do that story. Shows you the type of work that you produce, and really looking forward to that next week. So thank you for sharing some thoughts on it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It'll be a fun one.
That's Zak Keefer right there, Payless Liquors Hotline.
Yeah, before we take a break, just quickly, I want to get this off my chest. I've noticed this in the last 48 hours. I'm wondering if you guys have as well. Maybe I'm wrong here. but so many people, and I agree with what Zach is saying about Bryce Young, so many people are coming to Bryce Young's defense right now and are bagging on David Tepper and the Panthers and the lack of weapons and the O-line and just all the different things of a team and a franchise right now that's in a bad spot. And I'm interested in the why. Why are so many in the media backing Bryce Young? Usually when a guy's a bust, we call him a bust and we make fun of him. I mean, think about it. I mean, we denigrate he's a bust. We talk about how the quarterback's a bust. We don't come up with all the different reasons or excuses that he is not having a good time in the NFL. But with Bryce Young, it is very much hey, he needs to go somewhere else so he can be the quarterback that we all think he can be. I felt like people have been nicer to Bryce Young than other quarterbacks that have been kind of crappy their first year and a half in the NFL.
And that's
just me.
The guy franchise defines a lot of dysfunction, and that's probably a reason why.
Yeah. All right, 239-1070. Let's just do this on the air. Do you guys want to do the pop quiz next? A quick pop quiz, or we don't have any time? No time for the pop quiz today. So we'll take a break. Coming up in about 10 minutes, Marc Silverman will join us. We'll talk some Chicago Bears football. We'll do it here in 10 minutes on The Fan.
All right, get the Bears perspective coming up in a few. Marc Silverman from Waddle and Silvey going to join us. Looking at these secondary tickets, I mean, it is still well north of $200. Cheapest ticket in the building. Coming up on Sunday. There are going to be a lot of Bears fans in there.
Yeah, people spending full paychecks, weeks, 2 weeks, month paychecks on the Bears and the Colts on Sunday.
Lot of Bears fans in the building.
I'm seeing Chase Daniel again. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter. He does a lot of film stuff, the former NFL quarterback.
Didn't we try to get him on, Mark?
Yeah,
yeah, we did.
I want to say, did someone have him on? Did
I don't recall.
One of the other shows, I thought maybe JMV had him on or Jake had him on as well. His new thing, if you want to go watch it, KB, is the Caleb Williams film, not as bad as you would think it is. Basically saying they have open receivers
it's a politically correct statement.
And open players, but the offensive line can't block worth a damn, which seems to be the truth. It seems to be what they're having issues with.
I know we're a little tight today, but again, the Jiffy Lube Oil Change will give away Freebie Friday coming up tomorrow. We will do that here, so don't forget about that as we close out the week tomorrow.
Yeah, Scotty's not happy with us. I mean, he can't be. We got to get to it tomorrow, so we'll have a Freebie Friday. Let's take a break. Marc Silverman, what did the Bears think of this game on Sunday? The pouting on the sideline by DJ Moore. What's up with that offensive line and Caleb Williams? Marc Silverman, ESPN Radio in Chicago. He joins us next.
Colts and Bears, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Again, probably going to be a good amount of navy blue and orange in that building there. 1-point favorite, the Colts over the Bears. A defense very pesky, and offense right now that, again, they're clamoring for Matt Pryor based off what I've heard in Chicago. Certainly Colts legend Matt Pryor is probably how we would define him. To get more on that, he is certainly a legend up there. Waddle and Silve, 2 to 6, ESPN 1000. Marc Silverman joins us now. You can read his work as well, writing for Bears Weekly for Shaw Local. Mark, good morning, sir.
What's up, Kev? How are you?
We are well. Your Chicago Bears right now, offensive line issues, is that the root of the Caleb Williams lack of major production early on?
Yeah, it's the story of my life, of trying to develop a quarterback. Caleb certainly could be better, but, when you deal with a rookie quarterback, as you guys know, and you guys have had 2 can't-miss guys there, almost back-to-back, who Peyton certainly struggled his first year. You're going to have to live with some of the mistakes, but you got to give the guy time to throw. You can't have him get crushed in 2.5 seconds. And the problem that we have had before is they start getting battered and bruised, and then their head starts going down, and then the next thing you know, they start seeing ghosts. And all of a sudden now it's even harder to start develop. And the one thing that we thought that Caleb was going to have this time is a better team around him. Like, everyone sung the praises of this roster because it truly is better, but Ryan Poles probably neglected the offensive line. There's a lot of patchworking here. There's only one true first-round pick, that's Darnell Wright out of Tennessee, and he had one of the worst games out of any offensive lineman in this last game against the Texans.
Yeah, Mark, we're complaining about a defensive line and a rush defense, and there in Chicago, you're complaining about an offensive line. You touched on it a little bit there. What are the reasons why this line is so bad? Like you mentioned, the Bears have, I think, a pretty good roster, but you can't neglect the offensive line. What happened to lead us to this point?
It's patchworking. Like, that's the word that I keep circling back to, is that they haven't really grown on the roster. So if you look at their defense, and one of the reasons why that they're good now and why you're complaining about your defensive line, they went out and they traded for Montez Sweat. And Montez Sweat is not only a solution for now, but he's a solution for many years on the defensive line. Jalen Johnson, he's their homegrown draft pick from a prior regime, but still, they knew enough to invest in him. They just gave him a new contract. They trade for DJ Moore at wide receiver. Solution for now. They extend him. Solution for long term. Throughout the roster, they've built it the right way. On the offensive line, there's Darnell Wright at right tackle. And then, it's not a sexy position where I could rattle off names that everyone in Indy would know, but Braxton Jones, 5th-round pick, is their left tackle. One of the worst left tackles in the National Football League. Left guard situation is a guy that they drafted to be a tackle, but now as a guard, he's in their free agent year. Center, patchwork guy, low-level free agent that they picked up because of his familiarity with the offensive coordinator. Right guard, total bust, Nate Davis out of Tennessee. So right now they're on the road to maybe replacing 4/5 of their offensive line going into next year.
Oh, God, it sounds horrific there. It sounds like Andrew Luck's first year here in Indy. Yeah. He is Silve, Marc Silverman from Waddle and Silve, joining us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Let's shift gears a little bit. Matt Eberflus, we played the clip earlier. There's no love lost with Zaire Franklin. I think he is in the anomaly, though. I think for the most part, Colts players that are still around from that defense did enjoy playing for Matt Eberflus there. How would you describe, if any, a simmering hot seat, if at all, for Matt Eberflus?
It depends whose hot seat. Whose hot seat do you want to know about? You want to know about my hot seat, or do you want to know about Ryan Poles' hot seat?
Let's go with both, if you don't mind.
My hot seat would be it's an 8. I mean, if it was up to me, I would have fired him at the end of the year last year. I would have. It was the best free agency year of coaches. I would have gone after Harbaugh. He's a guy who knows how to win. He's a former Bear. My co-host Tom Waddle, that was his quarterback. Everywhere he goes, he wins. And I would have gone after Jim Harbaugh or one of the other coaches who's out there. I don't think Matt Eberflus gets the team ready to win. I don't think his defense has finished games at a high enough level. I don't think he knows offense. And again, we're in this thing where now you're trusting another offensive coordinator that you're hoping in Shane Waldron could work. And that's not a business I want to be in. Ryan Poles' seat is a 1. Ryan Poles loves him. He swears by him. And it's not hot at all unless the Bears totally screw this season up and they win 5 or 6 games. So if they win 8 and Caleb Williams is progressing and developing, Matt Eberflus is here to stay.
Mark, DJ Moore, we saw some frustration on the sideline in week 2, and you totally understand it. I mean, the offensive numbers for the Bears, as you know, they're putrid. 11 catches, 89 yards for DJ Moore in 2 weeks. How much have you guys talked about DJ Moore's frustration and, quite frankly, the offensive weapons, their frustration in getting the ball, scoring touchdowns? Hell, DeAndre Swift is 2 yards per carry right now.
Yeah, it's terrible. The run game is awful, guys, too. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they can't protect and they can't run block. So that's a formula for crap. But to your question on DJ Moore, and I specialize in body language after dealing with Jay Cutler here for almost a decade, and we did the Jay Cutler show. So I always felt that the national media over-exaggerated the body language stuff. And so I tend to give our athletes a little more grace when it comes to within the moment. I think it depends on the athlete. If it's a guy like Peyton, if it's a guy like Tom Brady, who is very successful, it's leadership. And if it's a guy like Jay Cutler or someone who's not as known, then it's being a bad teammate. DJ Moore is one of their hardest workers. DJ Moore has dealt with some of the worst quarterbacks. Look at the track record who he's played with in Carolina and now with the Bears and what he's had to go through. And he works hard. He produces. He's there game in and game out. I am not going to jump all over DJ Moore. And he spoke yesterday and was totally cool with Caleb Williams. And he's worked with Caleb Williams. So I think right now maybe it's something to watch for, certainly, because guys get frustrated. But I don't think that this is anything to worry about right now.
Again, he is Marc Silve, Waddle and Silve. You hear them 2 to 6 Central ESPN 1000, and can read Silvy's work for Shaw Local. Last one from me. If you did a fan poll, Silvy, and I don't know, maybe you have, stadium-wise, one vote would be Arlington Heights, the other one would be Soldier Field. What would the fan percentage be on that?
It would be, and we've done a lot of this. It would probably be like 70-30 Arlington Heights.
Really?
Wow. Have you guys been to Soldier Field before?
Yes.
So I don't know what your experience was, if you drove, if you walked, if you got dropped off. If you go to Soldier Field on the lakefront, just to set things up, it's not like going to Indy, which I love. And I was just there. I love your town. I was just there for the Combine. I've been there like tens of times as a reporter, and it's great access, and it's easy in, easy out. For Soldier Field, you have the lake, which is a cool shot from a blimp, but you have the lake to the east, so there's no access to the east. You can't get out east. To the west, you have railroad tracks. So already you can't go anywhere to the east or to the west. The only way you could go places is to the north and to the south, and that's just on Lakeshore Drive. As a pedestrian, you could only walk through mazes through the museum campus. While it looks pretty, it's terrible. There's not enough tailgate spots. There's not enough parking. It takes you an hour and a half, 2 hours to get in and out of that place. So while it's cool and they like it and they want to be in Chicago and to build the stadium, the fans want more space in Arlington Heights, and they own the land in Arlington Heights. They could do what they want, but they want to be this partner now. And now that Kevin Warren, they changed when Kevin Warren came. So once Kevin Warren, who was the Big Ten commissioner, took the job, that's all of a sudden when they did the about face and they decided to work with the city. But I would want to do a new stadium in Arlington Heights.
Mark, last one for me. The Chicago White Sox. Fun story, sad story, or somewhere in between? How have you guys handled that over the last several months?
Yeah, I'm not a Sox fan. I'm a Cubs fan, so take it for what it's worth. It's a sad story. It's funny now because of how bad it's gotten. As you guys know, when something's just in the middle, it's boring and it's no one wants to talk about it. They are so bad, so bad that it's become a talking point again, and it's become a national story. And the Sox here in Chicago are never a national story, even when they win. It's more of a Cubs town, so now more people are talking about them nationally. And it's put more, and I think Ken Rosenthal just in the finally put into the spotlight just how bad of an owner Jerry Reinsdorf is. So I don't know if you guys watched The Last Dance. I covered those Bulls teams. I was in Indy for the Eastern Conference Finals, covering the Bulls in the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals with Reggie against Michael. So, I had a front row seat for all of this. Jerry Reinsdorf then was one of the most overrated owners in sports, and right now I believe the book on him should be one of the worst owners in sports. And I think this story is finally showing the proper light that he is.
To think we did 4-minute segment only positive on the Colts today. Can you imagine if we tried to pull that off with the White Sox here?
We were struggling with the Colts.
Point. Oh, my gosh. Dear Lord.
And really quick, can I say this, too? I've gone to, and I know I'm doing a 180, and I know you guys are against the clock. I've been to 2 Caitlin Clark games here in Chicago, going to the Sky and taking my kids to the Sky. I have 2 boys. I have a 10-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. And my 10-year-old's second favorite athlete is Caitlin Clark. His first is Christian McCaffrey. She is a joy to watch. I love watching Caitlin Clark play, and they've gotten to meet her twice. She could not be better with the fans. She could not be more of a joy to watch play. You guys are so lucky that you guys have her in your town.
Those are wise words. We are very, very fortunate as some of the 4-year-old daughter. Very, very happy that she can grow up and have that role model. The poster right now on her closet door, Caitlin Clark in her room for Rosie Bowe. Silvy, thank you, sir. Safe travels if you're making the trek down here, and really enjoyed the combo.
Anytime, guys. See you later.
That's Marc Silverman right there. I think I told this story back a few months ago, but I took Rosie and my niece, Ellen, to the game. That was the day we were doing our broadcast from there. And I just assumed I would take my niece. I have a nephew that's a little bit older, diehard sports fan. And when he got wind that I was taking his little sister and not him.
Oh, no.
I mean, the look on his face.
Oh, you crushed him, man.
Oh, and I just I don't know. I probably played a little bit of the, girl card, if you will.
Oh, you were doing gender stereotypes.
Yeah, which
sure.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't, but I was like, oh my gosh, I did not. Boy, can I scramble for one more ticket here? I was kind of in that mode there, but boy, it is very, very true. And those road environments, we'll see it for the Fever as their season finale is tonight. What it looks like in the playoffs, but certainly they have been heavy Caitlin Clark centric, especially in Chicago this year.
I'm always stunned when a team puts together, like the Bears, a really good roster and then just neglects. And it's not like they're neglecting, like, here we're talking about safeties. They're neglecting the freaking offensive line. I just...
It's not ideal.
Whatever.
That stadium thing surprised me a little bit, too, but I think it makes sense as he explained it.
Back at it tomorrow, 7 a.m. Have a good afternoon on The Fan. Check out the Podcast Center, 1075thefan.com.